rather be fucked by a man or fucked by a gorilla? And Team Gorilla was saying that they would choose the gorilla because the gorilla had a smaller penis.
No.
Yeah, that's what
it was. A female gorilla. It was a female gorilla.
That was not the premise of the fucking movie.
I don't understand.
Yeah, hold on. That was the premise. Would you rather be fucked by a man or would you rather fuck a female gorilla? Because these guys were saying, hold on. These guys were saying, I don't want to be gay. I'd rather fuck animals than be seen as gay. And that's what the whole retardedness of the answers came about. Is that these guys would rather fuck animals than be gay.
You guys only have in your community. Like, we don't experience this bestiality in the black community.
This was a mostly black room with black.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know.
No, I'm just gonna listen because this is a white folks thing.
Okay, so
No, it's not.
we're talking.
It's a mostly black room, but okay.
We're talking about chillism, right?
When I was in there and they were talking about it, at the time it was all black mods, but go ahead.
Okay, so that room runs, I agree with the previous speaker, that room runs 24/7. It is actually one of the only free speech rooms in this house. You can say whatever you want in chillism, and nobody, you're going to get your turn. Doesn't matter how egregious your statement is. No, you could be anti-Israel, tell the Jews to go fuck themselves, and you will get a voice in that room, compared to a lot of other spaces I saw about it. So we can say what we want about chillism, you will get to say what you want to say in that space.
So, Mother, I'm gonna agree with you. And so the way that I like to think of if you're looking at the main difference between this space and that space, just aside from IQ level, if we were to if we're looking at the differences, if you look at the rules, and we heard from one of the moderators from over there, Callie, and she agreed with me. Rule 7 here, you're not allowed to say the K word or the N word, and over there, they will allow it. And so if you like a space where you get to say the N-word, then you can go there. And if you like a space where people aren't going to say the N-word, you can come here. Now, you may argue that you like freedom of speech so much that you want to be able to freely just shout the N-word repeatedly. Or you might want to have a more civilized conversation, and in which case you would come here. This is why I'm asking the question, what room is most entertaining? And so when I see the 15% of people that have chosen chillism, I just assume that it's their preference and their form of entertainment to hear people shout the N-word.
I mean, that's just misrepresentation.
What's the K word? What's the K word?
Address this real quick, because this whole notion
what
that
about
people
the
are shouting
like,
the N-word all the time is not true. If you actually go in chillism, it's actually quite rare. It's usually black people saying it. It has not white people in that room rarely say it. So you're misrepresenting the actual conversation. And it doesn't happen frequently. That's an irregular situation. Pepe's rooms, they say the N-word all the time. Like, it's not on that level. It's usually black people.
Yeah, I think only the one person that said it was Pepe.
But they say in that other room, they say some fucked up, like derogatory things towards Jewish people too. I've heard them do that. It's like they laugh it off, but it's just like, wow, you really just say that.
I mean, some black person called me a bleach demon in that room, so I asked them how much they cost. So it's just, it's people that, if someone's gonna come at you, man, it's game on. Racism aside, it's game on. Just no kids though. No kids.
But to be fair, like I haven't been in Rogers' rooms much, at least in the month. Do you guys allow like outright anti-Semitism and just like whatever? We'll say black too. I mean, would you guys allow people like who's somebody in there like Lion? He'll go on and on and on and on about Jews. Like, I feel like you'd probably get kicked from this room for doing that.
Yeah, probably. We're not really looking to platform people that hate people because of their identity. It's just a different thought process on what kind of conversation that you want to foster.
Well, they hate white people over there too, so it's an equal opportunity hate fest.
Aren't
And
people
you
modded
either-
chillism?
I'm the only one that was gonna say that. What do they say? Only fucked up thing I've ever heard of. It wasn't even from someone that's from chillism. It was like all they said was you're not an original white person. You're not a real Anglo-Saxon. You're not a real descendant from the Mayflower. Like you're
like even Concrete.
I got called in either my sister or I had to look it up.
Like Concrete, when he chips out, he'll call Jews the K word, he'll call us trackers, all kinds of shit. Like, he's actually a really funny spurg to listen to sometimes, but he's mostly annoying.
I don't know what it is, man. I think racist shit is so fucking funny. Like, just the fact that people have to stoop that low is hilarious to me. Like, I really take this app as comedy. I rarely take discussions seriously. So you just gotta change your mindset on how you navigate.
Pockets. Let me ask you this, Pockets. What? Give me an example of using the N word that's going to help a conversation to be productive in some way.
Even people, it's not about if you allow it to be unproductive. If you allow it to fuck up the conversation, that's your problem, not the person who's saying it. People are going to say whatever they want, but if you allow it to change what your goal is.
Then give me an example outside of literature, outside of music, outside of movies, just outside of art in general. Give me an example of how the N word can add value.
I never said it is. It doesn't.
Okay, so if we can identify that it doesn't add value, and it can add chaos, it has no value, can add chaos. Why would people advocate for people being able to use it?
The same reason people advocate for firearms and gun rights.
Well, black people. The thing is, though,
Hold on. I want to stress that. What you just said was the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
No, it's not.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. So first of all, owning a firearm allows you to defend yourself. Using the N-word allows you to create the kind of conditions where violence takes place. Like honestly, Pockets, I like you, but that literally is the dumbest thing I've ever heard ever.
I hear you. My point is that people fight for things that cause chaos daily, whether it's a word, whether it's a gun. People fight for that right to be able to do that, whether it causes chaos or not. It's the problem that people allow it to get to them. This is a fucking app. You can leave quietly, you can get off this app, and you can go do the things that make you happy. If someone is talking shit to you and saying all these things, and you're letting it affect your day-to-day life, I don't know, man. Like, it's to me, I believe,
So Pockets, this is cool. So you're saying what I said, which is if you vote for chillism, which is at 14% most entertaining, you are voting that you find the N-word entertaining. And for the people, the 61% in the muff, they're voting that they find it more entertaining to not use the N-word.
Well, Roger, I would just say this.
That's a misinterpretation of the space. I don't think that's an accurate reflection of chillism.
Roger, if you
I don't go into chillism.
Yeah,
right.
That wasn't a good question.
Roger, I do think there's a usefulness for it. And if you're in primarily black rooms, when somebody uses that word, there's an image that will pop up in our minds. It's generally going to be somebody low class, uneducated, irresponsible, criminal, just not a good person. And black people will intentionally use the hard R to refer to each other when they think somebody's just like their behavior is atrocious.
In a negative context.
Yes.
That's fucked up.
I think if somebody's acting like that image in your mind, hold on.
Your piece of Hewlett, have they get a start out? I'm gonna ask him to hand the mic straight to you, okay? I promise.
And I would say that, like, when you have black people, that image that we can all think in our head, we all are able to do that. When somebody's acting like that, it kind of does drive the point home. Like, hey, you know what? This is what you are. And that's fine. I don't really see the big deal. I think it actually hits home and it makes it a really succinct point.
No. Where you already are.
No, Sean, it's your piece of
All I was gonna say is that I think the question should have been asked to Pockets is, I mean, okay, how does she feel about when she hears the hard ER? Because it's fine. But sometimes you have to make it a little bit more closer to home and relatable. How do you feel when you're in the room and you hear some people say cracker or hecklewood or trailer park trash being
And she
When you I always confused, like, what does that mean? Well, what the hell is a cracker?
No, she's asking
Your question.
No, Pepe, she's asking me simple. Fuck
I
damn.
don't think she was asking you.
She definitely was.
I was saying that should have been the question because that way you can say, you know what, nah, that doesn't feel good. Like how y'all said something like, oh, when you hear these words, how does it make you feel? I can tell you how it makes me feel, but it doesn't like fuck with me like that. It is, I get what you're saying. It's an app. I can log off. I can remove myself quietly. I have done it before because it's not that serious to me. It just lets me know who the fuck you really are and how the fuck I interact with you. Because I know you really a racist pussy prick.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'd like to respond to that real quick.
Pockets has to talk. Pockets has to talk. Pockets has to talk. Pockets.
Stephanie, this is not American women can speak in here. Go ahead.
Really quickly. So we all know that N-word and other kind of words, but especially the N-word, has a rich history of everybody knows them. Right? So when you use those other words that doesn't have that, they don't weigh the same for some people. So if you're using that word, he likes to use that word. If you use that word, you're definitely trying to create something that isn't valued. You're trying to devalue another person based on your judgment of people, putting them in a broad sweep package of just it's just an ugly thing to do, because I know plenty of people that are of the tint that's Michael or darker, right, that are not the broad sweep that you're using when you use that word. So I would like to say that
I said individuals with certain characteristics. I didn't say all black people.
I didn't finish talking. And you just call me a fucking idiot?
Oh my god, please finish.
Time on paper.
I think that's what I
What do you call?
heard.
What did this fool call me?
Just please finish. Don't even address it. Don't let it get to you. Please finish.
Oh, sweetheart, trust me. I'm just asking, Mojo, isn't there a rule?
I think that's what you heard.
Well, hold on.
Pepe just called me a fucking asshole in your room.
Well, yeah, we don't have specifically, and we're trying to draft the language around.
Oh, okay.
personal
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out the right language about personal attacks, where, because sometimes it's entertaining to, but only if it's mutually desired. Like, so
Thinking about that, Mojo, you cut me off in the middle of my conversation.
that's a violation. So yes, he violated rule number 5. So if he can remain muted and you can finish, go ahead, time.
There you go. So, I find you very small-minded and a small person, Pepe, because you have to resort to this name calling, because that's how you think about yourself. Whenever somebody does that, it's more about them than it is the person they're trying to.
That's wonderful. But I did say black people with very specific negative characteristics. You know when you go to a store, or a little fast food restaurant, it says, no shoot, no shoes, no service. We all know who that sign is for. Whiskey Tango, white trash. Why? Who goes into a store being belligerent with their hairy ass chest?
No shoes,
And no shoes. White trash. Yeah, that is white. Okay, we all know what white trash is. But what is white trash behavior? Going into a place with no shoes and no shirt. White. There are people that are white trash. If it fits, it is perfectly reasonable to call them white trash. I do it all the time. And if you're one of those bad black people that hit all of the stereotypes, yeah, you can call them the N-word. I think that's absolutely fits. I didn't say just because you're black. So
No, that doesn't fit.
you're trying to say that, like, I know black people that don't fit any of those stereotypes. No shit, I didn't refer to them. I explicitly pointed out the black people with the negative characteristics. So you're arguing, you're making a fucking straw man argument, and you're saying, oh, you must feel little when you do that. Well, obviously you feel touched, sweetheart, because that's why you're the one who got enough in your 50s to even feel like you had to say something about it, and then tried to attack me. And yes, I called you a quote-unquote fucking idiot, because that's what you were doing. You did not listen to what I said. And you had to contort what I said, and then try to give a narrative as if though I'm some small-minded person or a person that feels small. You're a very sensitive person, and you're light-skinned, and it fits. Very sensitive.
So there's another one that take up all the time to speak. So when you say something like, I do it all the time, that's what's small-minded about you. You understand? Because you're looking through this. Your personality is your personal reality, and that's how you're looking through the veneer of black, white, okay, category N-word, category white trash, rather than looking at people as human beings. Okay? Exactly. If you look at a person as a human being, they all have different nuances in their character, some worse than others, right? But let's hope one day that you're given the compassion that you don't give other people.
We don't have to divide things along black and white lines. I mean, we could be referring to a person who's out of touch with reality. We could be referring to a person who's very sophisticated. I mean, if we really drew upon our actual perception of a given individual, we would say, man, how could that person be so out of it, so useless to society? And how could that person be such a contributing member of society?
Yeah. So you want to lean towards your best nature rather than your trash nature, right? And then you look at society, and you want it to be a reflection of the herd, the masses. Here on Clubhouse, as you can see, that is the reflection of the herd.
So how do you raise up the herd without pointing out the problematic ones that are weighing the whole herd down?
Well,
Stop being so fragile.
that you have it as a victim, right? That they're doing that to you. They're weighing it down.
Oh, people don't weigh down society? Is that what you're saying? You're a victim and you listen to the speeches, that there's people that are parasitic?
You just blamed people for weighing Clubhouse down.
I didn't do that. I said the herd. In other words, a population of people. If in your community you have people who don't want to work, people who like to, burglarize, do whatever stupid shit that causes a net, harm to the community. I mean, they're obviously bringing the value of the community down.
Right.
That's why we have courts and law enforcement and all of that stuff, because we have to deal with these people.
Right. So that's what happens. They get dealt with. So, and what's your point?
Oh, my point is, those people, you can accurately describe them with words like white trash.
Well, yeah, but I just explained something to you. That what makes you think that when you're dressing that way, right? Is there value in that? Tell me the value.
Yes, because you're describing a type of person. It's not, sure, it may be harsh, but I think it's, oftentimes you have to be harsh. What would you tell, one of the worst members of the black community, within the black community? I mean, who cares?
Even if you say that to your own people, it don't hold no value.
It doesn't hold any value.
No,
Because you don't know, you haven't walked in their shoes.
Absolutely disgusting.
Now, if someone's committing, if someone is committing a crime, right, they need to be locked up, they need to be arrested, right? But outside of that, right, you haven't walked their shoes. You don't know where they are in life. So what gives you the authority to categorize people in a broad sweep like that?
It's not an authority, it's a freedom to basically make judgments of my own. Everybody has that right in America, and I definitely have the freedom to pass that kind of judgment on somebody. It's
You know what's funny to me is the power of words. You know what's weak? You know what's weak to me is the power of the words that impact you versus the respect you receive. I hate the fact when people take words and get so impacted by the words versus the respect. Isn't it about respect? What happened to the respect game? Okay, so if you're 40 plus, I'm 47 years old. Okay, I was born in '77. It's a respect game, but it's really insane how people go crazy over a word being used. When you should go crazy when someone lays hands on you. When someone lays hands on you, it disrespects you. But you get so hurt. You get so hurt based on a word. I don't use the word. I don't choose to because guess what? That's disrespect.
Yeah, hold on.
Disrespect.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, they're getting out of control.
Hey, can you guys not hear my fucking voice?
No.
Am I in the goddamn Matrix or something?
Yeah.
I'm in the Matrix.
No, we can hear you now.
Okay, got it. Listen, here's the truth. Some people, they have no personality. They have no intelligence. They have nothing to offer a conversation. And so all they have, the only tool in their toolbox is to be provocative. And they know that there's little cheat codes in being provocative. They know that the N-word is something that they can say that's going to cause a stir. They know that. And because they don't have the vocabulary, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have anything to contribute, they add this one word to try to create drama. You can tell the low level of intelligence when people start using that word. And here's the other thing. If you go and look at the people in Chillism or anywhere else on this app that use that word, that think that they're getting a reaction, I will promise you this. There's not a single one of them that would come with me to go to Fitchburg, a neighborhood in Oakland that I grew up in, and use that word. And this is how you know that they're not authentic about the conversations that they're having. Why would they not want to use that word in a face-to-face communication? I can have the conversations that I have anywhere on the fucking planet, save for the Muslim world, because I say things like it's a pedophile death cult. But I'm backing that up with facts. If anybody wants to have these conversations, I'm just going to say this. For those that love the N-word, those of you that love chillism and love to be allowed to say it, hit me in the back channel. Let's go to Fitchburg together. Let's go pull up in a bar. And it won't be an all-black bar. It'll be a predominantly black bar, probably 75-80% black. And I want you to come, and I want you to sit down at the bar, and I want you to start a conversation and start talking about the shit that you would talk in chillism. I want you to drop the N-word in a bar in Fitchburg. That's what I would love to see. And the fact that you wouldn't do it, the fact that you wouldn't do it is all the reason of why you shouldn't do it on this app. You're a candy ass. If you really are about that life, then come with me. Let's go to Fitchburg together. I'm happy. I'll buy your drinks. I'll drive you there. Matter of fact, when you go to a dinner, I'll buy you a nice steak dinner before you deal with what would happen. And we will go, and I'll tell you what, I will do this. I will make sure that they don't kick you when you're down. I'll make sure that when you get knocked cold, I will make sure that they don't kick you when you're down. How about that?
Well, I would say this, Roger. So if I was to go, I think, for example, outlaw motorcycle clubs like the Banditos, Hells Angels, I don't know, the Mongols, that they are white trash, degenerate criminals. Now, I do know that if I told them that to their face at one of their bars that they hang out, my face would probably look a lot different after that encounter. Now that does not disprove what I said, my judgment about them. If anything, it kind of reaffirms what I have to say about them. So having to say it to their face, not really. I mean, I'm not challenging people to a fist fight. I'm giving them my opinion. And yes, I do agree that there are temperamental African Americans that are violent and would assault me as a result of me using that word. Never would deny that.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad that we've acknowledged that even Pepe would be not willing to say the word in a violent in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I still think we are looking at this wrong, but I want
You want to come to Pittsburgh and say it?
It's not the fact that I want to say it. It's never been my desire to say a word that has historical roots in oppression of a people. It's the fact that I see it has so much power over people, and people are getting hurt physically because of the trigger of the word, the power of the word. And the people that are doing the hurting are going to jail.
But isn't that Darwinism for those white? Like, I wouldn't try to take a banana from, like, I don't know, a chimpanzee, because it would probably rip my arm off or bite my face off. You know, I do think that if you're going to call a black person, and let's be real, calling someone the N-word is a challenge. It's a really disrespectful. Just like if I was to walk up to anybody and say pussy, like while looking at them in the eyes, there's a good subsection of men that are going to take that as a threat and a challenge, and it's going to become physical. Same thing if I insult your mother or your wife or girlfriend. There's things you can definitely say to people. The N-word's one of them, where you're basically testing them. And you know, I don't think any smart person is going to go around just calling people names. I don't go out of my way to. I look at guys and maybe they have an ugly girlfriend. I would feel zero compulsion to tell that guy his girlfriend's ugly. I mean, just because I think it doesn't mean I'm not about it. Why do I need to tell them that? It's not my place.
You said you do it all the time.
What kind of person's gonna walk by a fat person and say,
Probably
"What a fat ass you are"? No one does that shit. If you do that, you're a fucking low life son of a fucking bitch or whatever the fuck you are. No one's gonna just go and do that. That's just again, it's about respect. Who's gonna be disrespectful? If you're disrespectful,
Black people would never disrespect me in real life. Like,
No,
black people
Sean, I
never go out of their way to disrespect me.
No, hold
Like,
on.
on here they do, but not in real life.
We should say those things, Sean, behind their back. We should be pussies and don't say that shit to their face. I totally agree.
well, you don't know them. You don't know them. You have no right to say it to them. Now, if you know them and you call them a fat ass or whatever, or you want to call them something and you know them, that's just being truthful. But you don't know them. Where you coming from? You don't know if they got a thyroid issue. You don't know what their issue is. But you know, and then when we talk about color, like you just gonna go spout out to someone that they're ugly as fuck. Like you just gonna tell you're ugly as fuck. Hold on. You're ugly. Who does that shit?
Hold on. Well, I'll explain. So you can absolutely get away with calling people fat. In fact, it happens all the time. There's a big difference. We didn't enslave fat people. Now, you might make an argument that that would have been a wiser thing. Would have got them in better shape, and we wouldn't have had the fat epidemic that we have. There's a big difference. Big difference between talking to fat people. In fact, I'm a big fan of bringing back fat shaming. I think that's okay. I'm a fan of fat shaming. I like the idea, and I say this as somebody with total dad bod. I've got probably about 17 pounds that would be optimal for me to lose, and I still think that it's totally fair game for people that are fitter than I am to tell me, hey, fatty, you should lose some fucking weight. I think that there's a value to that. I struggle to find the value in saying the N-word. Again, if it's in literature and it makes a point, okay. If it's in music, if it's in television, movies, in art, it works. Nobody has told me a legitimate reason of how it would elevate a conversation, how it would bring a positive outcome by utilizing the N-word in a conversation. Nobody's brought that. All they've said is that we should retain the right to say it. That's all you got.
If people fat shame me, I tell them Cash App open for Adobe.
You're good, Ashley. You want to repeat that because I stepped on it on accident?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if people fat shame me, I say my Cash App is open. I will go get on Wingobi and I will gladly take it and lose all the weight that I can.
It's just
All right. So hold on, y'all. Let me get this thought out, please, Dawn. Thanks, honey. Thanks, Dawn. So when Kanye West came out with his most recent song, Ninja Heil Hitler, people looked at him and said, that's hate speech. And when he was interviewed in his leather Klan robe, which looked really uncomfortable and ridiculous, but okay, Kanye, he said, tell me what hurts you, and I'll do more of it. And what he's saying is, you give me the buttons to press to make you go crazy, and I will press them. And I'll press them happily. And then you get to decide whether you go crazy or you learn not to have those buttons pushed.
So your point is what, Scarlett?
Where are the days that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words should never hurt me? Where are the days that we're resilient in the space of real ugly? Okay.
That wasn't me, Scarlett. That was somebody else. I wasn't cutting you off. You can finish talking.
I'll say it better than Monica. You know what? Any one of you on stage, if you were dying on the deathbed, how many people on this stage would actually come to your fucking deathbed or call you when you're on your deathbed? How many people are going to reach out to you when you're not here for a week? No one. So how much does it fucking matter what people say to you? Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So we're living in a time where it always history there. There's wars all over the place. Right? So you go to Ukraine, Russia, you go to Gaza, and these are the kind of small conversations we're having. Right? I'm not saying that the discussion is important, but the people that are wanting to hold on to this word that so many people are hurt by, right? It says a lot about you, right? I personally don't let any of these words bother me at all. Doesn't say anything about me. You don't know me. But to think that the way you wake up is, your mind is really twisted. Just think about just your judgment of other human beings and putting them in a box all the time. Rather than what contribution can you do for the day to make this place, this country, a better country? It says a lot about you. You're very small if you're doing that, especially if you're doing it every day.
Well, I'd say this. I agree with you. In fact, I want black people to continue to gatekeep the word and to get really mad and insist that under no circumstances should it ever come out of a white man's mouth, because you literally continue to give me the power to say a word that makes you guys chimp out. And so that's lovely for me. Now, if you guys were just like, oh, no, it's calling us brilliant, and then they just like move on, then it's just kind of like, I feel like the small, insignificant dumbass. Now I feel like the tryhard who said this little naughty word and it failed to get a rise out of anybody. I feel like a retard. I'm going to stop using that word because I just made an ass out of myself because you guys just glossed over it like it was insignificant, like it didn't matter. That is actual power. Getting mad is actually gives somebody like me a lot more power over you than if you were to just not care. That is the ultimate power. That means I can say nothing to you to make you lose your fucking shit. You don't even care. That's the ultimate form of stripping somebody like me using that word of all their power. Not caring. Like I'm just a fart in the wind. I'm nothing. The word means nothing. It came out of my mouth and it means nothing. You just took my power from me.
All right, hold on. Everyone, hold on. Everyone mute up. Everyone mute up. So, Pepe, are you saying that when you use the N-word, what you're doing is trying to accelerate a post-racial society where the N-word has no power. Is that what your goal is when you use the N-word?
No. It's for entertainment.
May I interrupt really quickly to give
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mojo? Madam Christie has arrived on the stage.
No, honestly, like, I'm not gonna be long, but it feels gross to hear people, like, you're defending saying words that were said right before Black Americans were killed. It's really sick. I'm not trying to, like, the room or make it personal and gross. So it feels ill. I feel ill hearing this, that's all. Like, you guys can do what you want. I will never argue or fight or lash out at people, but it just feels so sick to hear people fighting for this. It's really gross. I guess it's because, again, like, I grew up hearing about my grandparents living in Jim Crow. I heard about the history. I heard the treatment that they went through during that time. Again, just, you can do what you want, but it's just crazy to hear this. It really is.
Can I just jump in really quick? This is Nye. So listen, I don't mean to be an a-hole here, but so my mother and I the other day we were talking about the N-word. I've been waiting for the opportunity to drop this, and this is perfect space. Adam, I've been waiting for this moment. So I was talking to my mother the other day about the N-word, and she's like, "No, Black folks have made this word internationally famous through their art, through their music, and to Christie's point, that was a word used against Black people, used to describe Black people during slavery. She said that's the white man's word. My mother said that we owe the white man reparations for stealing his word. We have profited off his word. We've made the word popular. We've made the globe treat the N-word like it's a term of endearment. I lived in LA for 20 years. Everyone said the N-word to everybody, right? Black people, Hispanics calling each other the N-word. And it was cool. It was brotherly. It was love. My mother says we've profited. We've made trillions of dollars using the N-word in our arts, music, TV, etc., etc. And because of that, we owe the white man money because we stole the word from him. I'm done.
Brilliant.
Can I just say something?
Please do.
So I find it very fascinating that interchangeably in the argument of why it's okay and why it's not okay to be using this word, and especially in the context of disenfranchisement of, one group of people over another, it's very, very, very strange to me that a lot of people during a workday spend time about, talking about who's able to use the N-word, who's not. I mean, during a whole workday, like it's very fascinating to me that they're not more productive things to talk about than who can or cannot use the N-word.
I remember during the pandemic when I first joined Clubhouse 5 years ago, there were so many rooms, and people were dealing with mental health issues and this and that, and you, my friend Pepe, had your special room, and I think about the people that are really going through serious mental issues, right? And this is the kind of room that you have, Pepe, continuously, daily, your contribution to society. I'm into freedom of speech completely, but just think about having you out there doing this, especially at that time.
That was the most important time to do it, because that's where we had this BLM frenzy, and you had, a degenerate who, I'm not going to get into debate over whether he was killed or OD'd. I don't really give a shit, quite frankly. But one unfortunate incident, all of a sudden, he's a patron saint. All of this crazy rhetoric, and a lot of this movement was obviously a lot of far left agitators were taking part in these protests and saying like, this is a stolen land built by stolen people. They're basically delegitimizing us as a country, our history. They're saying like tear it down to the, tear it all down to the core because it's evil to the core since its inception. I'm hearing all of this stuff like, we hear black women speak. And it's just like, excuse me? What? No, that's not how, no, I'm not playing your fucking game. And we're hearing, basically, like, a lot of what I would say was, like, blatantly anti-white rhetoric. And no, I actually think that it was very good that some people like me were speaking up the way I did. And one of the things, in kind of what's, I've been doing this for,
is what you're saying.
Yes, but I would say one of the reasons, starting 2 years ago after the changes on Clubhouse, I go onto places like X, I go onto other platforms, like the shit I was saying.
Is there a time limit, Mojo?
Okay, can you just shut the fuck up? I didn't interrupt you.
Well, there's a time limit.
Amazing. But I didn't interrupt you with your retarded fucking, just do stuff.
Hey, this is a legend you're talking to, an icon.
I don't know, words about that.
Okay, then just shut the fuck up, and I'm wrapping it up. Just shut the fuck up.
There's a time limit.
I don't care. Do you want me to ask you if there's a time limit over and over again while you're speaking? Like, please. Now, with that being said, you see that the Overton window is obviously shifted. Now, being like overtly racist, trolling using the N-word, all of this shit is like mainstream now. Like, I'm actually somebody, if anything, I think people have gone, like, I used a lot of comedy and humor, but now there's like, I would say, I'm not even what you would consider provocative now. Like, you could say I was somewhat of a one-trick pony because of my beliefs, but I'm far from being the most offensive. And,
I mean, you could say you're tired.
So just let him finish. Hey, are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished. We can let this mumbling.
No. What you're not going to do is you're not going to disrespect people that aren't disrespecting you. Otherwise, you're just being an asshole.
No, he's disrespecting me.
No, he's not disrespecting you.
Yes, he is. He interrupted me a bunch of times. He asked, is there a time limit? 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 He's the first one who made a judgment about my character personally.
Timac, I think he's finished. Go ahead, Timac.
Well, he's kicked out of the room. Oh, no, he's in the audience. Okay. So my question to him would be, so when people go low, you go low with them. That's your frame of thinking, right? That when things are tough for people during the pandemic, and you see Black Lives Matter, you can criticize.
Is there a time limit? Is there a time limit?
Just wait, hold on. Just a quick housekeeping skills. If Mojo moves someone down, Mojo should be the one to bring him up. Nobody else.
Well, and hold on. Additional housekeeping. I didn't move anybody down, and I didn't move anybody up. I do trust the mods to do the right thing. If somebody's violating the rules egregiously, we do move them down. We can mute them. But the first thing we should do is we should just, as moderators, remind them of the rules. That would be the best thing, so then they can self-regulate. Then we don't have to moderate too heavily.
You have a maximum time somebody can speak. If I'm given the green bean, I always like to be respectful of the house.
We like to keep, there's no specific time limit, but we say that you should keep your shares short. That's rule number 4. Rule number 5, you shouldn't interrupt somebody while they're speaking. Rule number 5 gets violated less if you abide by rule number 4. And so, as a general rule of thumb, make 1 point, maybe 2, and then mute the fuck up, let somebody else talk.
Yeah, so your friend speculated that when things are tough, right, and there's a group of people that are protesting for rights and all these things, and you could criticize. There's a lot to criticize there, right? But you think the best thing to do is to go low, right? Just go low. That's your frame of thinking?
My frame of thinking was they were scapegoating and being hateful, so I was going to delegitimize and make fun of and trash their whole ideology and movement. That was my goal.
Oh, okay. So you're that. Okay.
But I'm just curious, Adams. You wanted to like mute me and put me down to the goo, but you were modded up in my rooms all the time. overtly anti-black.
Pepe.
No, you are. No, you're light-skinned. No, I barely passed.
I'm not even modded, so I don't know if you're drunk or coked out tonight. I'm sitting here right on the stage with you. So again, don't try it, bro. Don't try it, bro. Don't try it, bro, because you're screaming into my fucking ear. That's exactly why.
No, you're screaming in my ear, though, Adams. You are. Not Pepe.
Like, you weren't even in here when
Is
this
there a
happened.
take my full mojo?
And I don't know who the person was who moved me down, but obviously it wasn't
Is this
Roger.
because Adams is biracial?
Well, no,
No, it's
he's-
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Listen, little order here. Let's try to tap into a little bit more respectability. We're going to be shutting the poll down pretty soon. Once we get to 100 votes, we need 9 more votes to do that. And then we're going to talk about the Kitover takeover. We're going to do a little fundraiser. So let's get them votes in. If we get 9 more votes, we'll close this down. We'll get the link up so we can support John Kitover for Congress. So let's get back to the conversation. Everyone try to be a little bit more respectful. And I know that's tough when you have people that are advocating for, but I get to say the N-word, right? Yes, you do. I'm not fighting for Clubhouse to ban the term everywhere. I'm just saying that in a space that I curate, I would prefer, because the word brings no value, for us to just avoid saying it. And again, if you want to open a room where you get to say it freely, go ahead and do that. I don't care. I'm certainly not going to report you. I don't have an interest in that. But what I will say is, in this space, if you want to defend your right to do it, I don't know who you're defending it against. You're not going to change my mind about the rules in this house, and I'm not trying to change your mind about the rules in your house. Go ahead and do what you want to do. I am for free speech, but I'm also for freedom of association, and I don't like associating with bigots.
You don't think that there's bigotry? And it's not about the words. You don't think that, to some extent, the bigotry or grievances held towards any and every group, including white people, for sure.
Of course.
They're
But who argues against that?
Okay, but why would you? And even if their beliefs are considered extreme, like they seem kind of far out. But I mean, depending on like what their experiences have been, that's going to largely form their extreme views, at least some of the time. I feel like it's that kind of discourse that's always been, I guess, not allowed for the last, I don't know, decade or so. And so a lot of people like to have these conversations because we're getting to talk about shit that we never really get to talk about. And, we were basically, the boundaries were always set for us on like social media, for example, of what is acceptable discourse. Now, those lines have kind of been removed. And I actually think that it may not look like it now, but I think it's kind of a healthy thing.
So let me ask you this, Pepe, and I'm asking this honestly. Do you think that when you choose the things that you're going to advocate for to try to make the world a better place, or whatever it is you're doing, maybe you're just entertaining yourself. I think that's what you claimed, or why you want to preserve using that word. What about just spending our time thinking about and talking about things that matter, like the fact that we have $37 trillion worth of national debt, we have $100 trillion worth of unfunded liabilities, and we have neither political party in this country that wants to do anything about it. And here we are talking about, but I should be able to say the N-word. Like, don't you think that's a pretty small thought?
I do, but I would say that, people are rather entertained by, bread and circus. I don't think that the whole thing with the debt, until Americans really start to feel it, that is going to be something that they really talk about. And unfortunately, people are very short-sighted on average, and people largely are entertained by really contentious shit. If you look at the largest rooms, what they've always been on this app, except for maybe after the first few months, it's going to be the people feuding, the people saying offensive shit. I mean, that is, I think, like with the attention economy and social media being what it is toxic, no doubt about it. And it's not really productive. especially in the short term or even the long term. But I do think it does, in a way, kind of force people to look at things a lot differently. I mean, just look at, I think that even the Overton window shifted on the left as well as the right in the last 4 years. I don't know. I don't know that we've had like relative stability in the world compared to most of our existence, our ancestors' existence on this planet. Now we have all of these technologies that are like smartphones and all of this shit and social media that really is very disruptive. And I don't know how like we're gonna work through it, but I don't know that. This is just a personal opinion. It's a value judgment. Like I personally am somebody who's much more willing to have debates and conversations with people that are overtly hateful and offensive, and I actually like talking to people with opinions that are much different than mine. It kind of helps me understand things, and especially from their point of view.
Well, Pepe, what's the last book you read?
Are you making money by doing because you talked about
no?
So you were talking about you said a lot there. But
he's moving the Overton window.
Tammy, can I help on this maybe?
Well, I'll be done
when you're done.
Of all the things that
he's moving the Overton window.
Right? And you're not making money from it, right? And you've spent hours on end, right? Of all the things that you can do to contribute to humanity, to society, don't you think there's a better thing to do? Because it doesn't seem like that's a happy life to just point out the low end of people. It just doesn't seem like I'm not judging you, I'm just saying.
Well, I'd say the differences between people is what I'm most fascinated by. I generally, when people think a lot differently from me, it's like, I want to know why. I don't get it, but I don't understand why they're saying this. And I like to listen to them. And, it can take a long time to kind of understand how they formed their opinions. And there were I was very overtly
Pepe, the fascinating and intelligent young man.
But a lot of these people I would curse at, I would say horrible shit to. I kind of, when we don't talk about political or religious stuff, I actually find that they're very decent people. But they have very different...
Mantra, intellectual
just,
experience.
There's so much different. I don't want to get into it. The reasons why they have this. And a lot of it is religious. But there's a lot of other stuff, too. It's just it's not just with them. I mean, I would just say even when it comes to racial or depending on what part of the world you come from or what class you are, somebody who's genuinely fascinated by that stuff.
But aren't they influenced by leaders in the country? A lot of these countries are very poor, right? And
no, not always. No, Qatar's not poor.
The richest countries in the world are.
No. Yeah, but who owns?
Yeah, they're the richest countries in the world. Okay, and no, when you go to the Emirates, it's not full of poverty.
No, not
and nor is it Saudi.
There's a lot of countries there.
Yeah, but those aren't, and they're the richest countries in the world, and so is Qatar and Kuwait and Bahrain.
So you're fighting for...
No, but I wanted to make a comment about Pepe, because I'm going to come from a place you're going to be a little shocked. Because I speak... Okay, so I'm just going to tell you, I speak to him, I'm a minority, and I'm actually in the business of tracking... I track hate, I deal with hate, I fight hate, and I get...
She's a hate tracker.
My life's work now. It's what I do. And I talk to him, I'm in rooms with him often. I know when there's people that really hate and really act on their hate and they do things in the real world that perpetuates hate and to hurt a minority or background. And I do believe him. He talks to different groups on here. He comes in the Jewish spaces. He talks with us. We talk about our issues. We talk about our political issues, our issues in the United States, our issues abroad. I can just tell you my experience. There's when someone really has hate in their heart towards you. You can hear what they say. You go in Amir's room. You can listen to what we have to listen to real hate when we're in there. So I'm just gonna say that. Okay, but no, I know why it started. I'm just telling you my own anecdotal experience. And I have a lot of conversations with people, and I try to see what's really behind them. And I talk to people that I never would believe I'd be talking to. And I gauge it.
So you're black, Abby? Are you black?
No, I'm
black, you think that?
I'm Jewish. I'm a minority that's being attacked incredibly right now. 2% of America. 2%, and I'm 900% in hate crimes. And I'm dealing with hate in my community, like at leaps and bounds that is just astronomical. People being burnt alive, being shot, murdered. People waking up to swastikas, waking up to death to Jews, waking up.
This is an equality speech hour, 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes. I don't want. That's not what this room's about. I'm just telling you. I can tell when someone really has hate, and that's not the dialogue. I'm not kidding. You can talk over me if you'd like, and you can challenge it. I'm telling you, go in Amir's room if you want to hear hate. Okay?
I'm not.
But Kevin comes to Jewish spaces and talks with us. Okay, never mind, because you're not.
Why were almost all of my mods and my following?
I can't. You're cutting me off. Number one, which is rude.
All right, hold on, guys.
And I don't give a shit.
Everyone hold on for a second. Listen, Abby, let me ask you this. If you could go into a room that bans the N-word and the K-word, do you think that would be an improvement over a room that allows you to use those words?
Of course it is. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right. I understand that. But the part that you're missing. Hold on. The part that you're missing about this conversation is that the whole reason we got on this topic is because Pepe and a few others are advocating that it's a good thing if we have this space to be able to have their free speech, to be able to say the N-word and the K-word. And they reject the rules because their preference, and you can see it in the people that chose in the chat, or not the chat, the poll. If you look up above, chillism is a room where they allow you to use the N-word, the K-word, whatever word you want. And then in the muff, we don't allow. Pepe is pro N-word, pro K-word. He wants to defend the right to use that, and that's what this conversation is. We're not talking about the hate groups. We're not talking about all those things. The fact that people are coming to Pepe's rescue to say, well, he's a benevolent racist. I think that's problematic in my mind, because benevolent racists become malevolent racists.
But that's not true. I was sticking up for chillism. They can call white people whatever they want, Jews, blacks, it doesn't matter, Arabs. They're very harsh on Muslims in there. You can say whatever you want. It is a lot of people like Douglas, what is his name, Goats again. As he referred to it as a zoo, which is kind of accurate. He allows people to say whatever the fuck they want. When that happens, though, there's like strong pushback from every side, and so I don't think it's like a hateful thing when you have. You can say it's very offensive, and you have hateful people in there. But I think that one of the things I do like about chillism, which I rarely go into. I do think
Pepe is a dumb. It's okay, there are a lot of Pepes out there, but stupid with sometimes rampant
and offensive, the ability to speak
And I understand, like, not every platform should be that way. Most people would probably prefer not to be in an environment where people can just say those kinds of offensive things and use those slurs. I completely understand, but I absolutely support the right of people to be able to have the platform to do it. I don't even see much harm in it, and it's not an echo chamber, and you know that, I think, Roger. Everybody fights with each other on there. There's no, like, leading ideology in there.
My point is, there's different actors on this app, and there's some that are there's different levels of dangerous or different levels of hate, and that's my point. If there are some that you really, really have to be concerned with that come in the app, they come in rooms, and what they do in real life is very concerning and very dangerous. And that was the point I was trying to make. Some of them.
How long have you been on the app now?
Since 2021.
Right. So, and again,
not trying.
Just being clear. Don't take this personally, but he had a room. You know, it was every day during the pandemic. Just demeaning black folks, just riling them up, and but equally you get it back. I get it. You get it back coming the other way, right? But you know that's what he was doing all day long, right, Abby? Abby?
I mean, that wasn't quite accurate. It's not all our rules are about. To be fair, I'm not creative enough to come up with, like, the room titles I had. A lot of I won't name them on here. Some of them are in the audience, but we had a large back channel that was like all of the people. It was basically mods, and we would come up with different titles throughout the day. And what we would do is, like, and I'm sure some of you will remember this. Like, we would have, like, one title that would be kind of like maybe it targeted women or black women. Then it immediately reversed, and then it's just like, well, why did white women? You know, we would troll a lot, especially at night, and it was, you can say it was, like, not conducive to, like, good outcomes. You can say that, you know, I'm not Mother Teresa. I'm not out here trying to make the world a better place. Like, I don't have a movement. I don't have a particular.
Why not?
What, like,
hold on. Let me just intervene here real quick. Abby, if you're there, let me ask you this. If Pepe used the K word at the same frequency that he used the N word, would you offer the same defense that you offered to him?
Pepe, how many times have I yelled at you when I've heard you say it? Pepe.
I've only used the term once on this app.
When you've used it and I've been in the room, have I, like, gone at you? Do you recall?
I don't remember.
I have gone at him when he has said it.
Oh yeah, you did. You're right. You were.
That wasn't my question. My question was.
I absolutely say something.
I remember you were saying.
I want to. Hold on. I'm going to ask my question again. Abby, if he used the K word at the same frequency that he uses the N word, would you have the same defense for him that you just did earlier about the way that he uses the N word?
I specifically, okay, so let me back up and say that when I'm in spaces with him, I have heard him use it. I've heard him use both words, and I've said stuff to him. I don't like hearing either. It's not something I'm comfortable with. I usually, if he's in a space doing that, I'll leave the space because I don't like hearing it. I'm not comfortable with it. I'm answering the question. I leave the space when I hear it. I don't like it, or I'll call him out, which I've done. So to answer, I'm not comfortable with it, and I've said stuff. When I hear it, I've said stuff to him. All I was pointing out is there's people that really are a danger that are on the app, and I think
nobody's doubting that. Nobody's doubting that.
That needs to be called out when that happens, and they come in our rooms.
Well, hold on. There's no doubt there's a fucking room on this app where they sex traffic and they plan for terrorism, and there's even a person that's in this room that agrees with all those people. I agree. There are levels to this, and I agree that there's people that are far worse than Pepe. But something tells me, Abby, that if the ratio in which Pepe uses the N word was used with the K word, because he probably uses the N word, I would guess like a multiplier of 100 times that which he uses the K word. If he was to say the K word, I would imagine, because of the work you do, because of your community, my guess is that he would bubble up as a bigger concern than what he is. And I'm just curious, like, why can't we hold a standard where, you know, when people are utilizing it, and again, if they want to use it in their room, dude, I am free. I'm for free speech. Like, I don't want the government to shut it down. I wouldn't even want Clubhouse to shut it down. But when we have a space and we have a preference of who we want to hang out with and the kind of language that we want to use, you would agree that coming into this space where if somebody uses the K word, they're automatically going to get removed from the room, that's a preferable position than to be in a room like Chillism where it's freely allowed. That's all I'm saying. And it was weird to me to hear you defend him because he's not out there with the news and hanging people.
I will repeat, when I've heard him say it, I've gone on the attack. I've also left the spaces when he uses those words. I don't want to hear them, and he'll tell you that I've gone at him for both words. But I'll usually, at this point, I just leave. I push the leave quietly. I don't want to be in the space, but I don't know how else to say this to you. I've called him out on it. He knows I've called him out on it, and I'm not comfortable with it. All I was saying is, when I'm looking at someone who really has deep hatred and acts on his deep hatred, there are people on the app that are of great concern to me. Great concern. And I think they should really not go unnoticed. That's what I was trying to say.
Roger, I think you would look, if you saw, like, okay, so I think you understand that, like, when I'm in your room, when I was in, like, Gary's room, the guy who, I forget the name, the debate lounge, I forget. There's a bunch of different spaces. People they're often, like, perplexed, because, like, when I started, like, venturing out of, like, doing my own rooms, when I wasn't expecting, because a lot of the large black content creators, they bring me on their stage with the expectation that I would be Pepe, and I would basically rile up their audience and all of that. But then, you know, as it's obviously been kind of a dying out. People to see me, like, having normal conversations. I don't do my, like, little troll. I'm not in character. And, you know, like, largely, Abby and I have been in spaces I'm not running. She's been in my spaces for sure. I generally really have, like, and it's very hard because I have to tone down my language with, there's people like her, there are people like,
Norm.
Yeah, Norm, but then who is that black guy? He's like a communist, Malcolm Speaks. Like, I would have to make sure that no black person said the N-word. He just did not tolerate it. And of course, I really have to correct my tone. And so, like, it was a balancing act. But I would say this, why have I called one person the K-word on this app? And he was a guy that I liked for the most part. I just got, like, really heated too. But Jews are not, like, attacking white Gentiles on this app, calling them a bunch of fucking names, saying how they're horrible, they're parasites, they're cockroaches, they stole our inventions, they did all of this shit. They're not, Jews are not attacking us. Like, there's not really a reason for somebody like me to really use strong language with them. I don't have to be put on the fucking defensive with them.
I would encourage you, you know, I don't judge you at all. I'm just debating you. I'm not judging. I would encourage you to than the other and this and that, it's all sour. It's all sour. And there's enough in life to be sour about, right? So I wish you my very best, just as I wish every human being my very best. The only way you become your very best is by looking in the mirror and looking at yourself, not looking at others. So I wish you my very best.
I appreciate the kind words, and I do agree that ultimately my life's outcomes are up to me, not other people. And I think we kind of disagree, at least when it comes to. I do think that people like me somewhat serve a purpose. Definitely not a savior or anything like that. I do think you can even say I'm somewhat of a net. I might be net negative, like the way I would entertain myself and other people and troll. But I do think at the end of the day, like there is a lot of like there's been so much like unfair rhetoric that's been coming from the left, like anti-American, attacking our culture, the racial majority, our religion, our sexuality.
That is one racist speaker.
No, I never made that argument. Well, then what's your point? Because the whole time is with your defense of saying the word. Why, like why is that so important to you? Out of all the things that it's not important. Some people want to help animals. Some people want to go and fucking plant trees.
I think it's a racist,
Everybody's got
Down
like
syndrome
something that they
stuff.
care about. My curiosity is, why does somebody care about defending the right to say the N-word?
So, sure. On a scale of importance, out of 1 to 100, that's like a 1. You asked an opinion, saying the N-word. I think it can be an accurate descriptor of certain black people, just like white trash is an accurate, depiction of certain white people. I personally, I don't really give a shit. Do I think that in certain spaces you should be allowed to say it? Absolutely. But what I never told you, Roger, is that you should allow it in your space. Chillism allows it. That's fine. But I never said you should allow it. And so, at the end of the day, do I think it's at least important enough that, and you even agreed with this, Roger, that other spaces should be allowed to say it. You said yes, that the government should not stop them, and ideally Clubhouse. We are on the same fucking side. I don't go into your rooms dropping the fucking N-bomb. I didn't go into Nelson's spaces. I don't go into other spaces dropping the fucking N-bomb. Like, I know this isn't Pepe's stage. They have rules. There's a certain amount of decorum that is required in their room. It's not the Pepe show, so I need to keep my thoughts to myself. If they're like out of bounds, at least when it comes to their rules, and I'm fine with that.
So I just want to say real quick. So this whole Pepe and N-word charade thing we've been doing for a couple of years on this app, like I've made this point in the past in regards to like Pepe and Pepe's value, right? So Pepe is one of those people that serves as like a breath of relief for us brown people because he is so open and explicitly racist that we don't no longer have to sugarcoat around the fact that people like Pepe and people like who think like Pepe still exist in this country. It makes our life so much easier. I encourage Pepe to keep doing what he's doing because it is a value added to the American society that we need to have these reminders because people will just say these stuff behind closed doors and then we have to go out of our way to prove that people like Pepe still exist in this country and a whole significant amount of sway, right? And so I encourage Pepe to keep saying the N-word, to keep hosting his rooms, to keep throwing credit at black people because we need people like Pepe. It makes life so much easier instead of the passive-aggressive white people who will just casually talk shit about people of color and their little passive fucking tones. And people like Pepe are important. We need honesty. ¿Por qué no te calles, maricón?
If we can get 2 more votes, we
Sorry.
can get this poll down. Hold on. John, just hold on one second. We want to get 2 more votes so we can get to 100 votes, and then that will be the official result. Oh, we need one more vote. We're at 99.
Well, I forgot. Can I say something else, Roger? I forgot my last point. Is it okay if I say it?
Oh, go ahead.
At first I was like, is Pepe actually racist? And then part of me was like, maybe he's just an emotional manipulator. He enjoys the satisfaction of playing with people's emotions and toying with them and seeing if he can get a response from them. And then I was thinking, why would someone do that? And then I realized Pepe probably doesn't get a lot of attention in his real life. That's all I have to say.
Oh my God! Just because I said what I said in Spanish. Well,
I might want to keep that big, but that's just my honest opinion.
Hold on, guys. We still need one more vote. I just want to say that both of you have violated rule number 10, which is English only, please. So, thank you.
One of the things about Clubhouse is it's not a good representation of black folks in America. It's actually a bad representation. There's a lot of ghetto-ass folks on this app vis-a-vis the real world. So I just want you to know that.
No, I agree. I've never, I went to school with black people, was friends with black kids. I'm gonna admit, I didn't, as an adult, haven't had many black friends. Well, a lot of them were, I would say I'm more Hispanic. Most of my friends have been Hispanic, even in comparison to white people. Not to say that they're interchangeable with black people, but but with that being said, the black people I would encounter in real life, there was some, I've noticed some things in the black community where it's like, oh, I kind of have some fucking problems. But, my coworkers and the people I would go to school with, my neighbors, they were not a problem. I didn't really, most of us don't really think about this shit, I think, in the real world. Now, when I say, when I started working from home during the pandemic, and then I was bored and I could, waste hours when I should have been working and doing a lot of stuff, online. And of course, I started doing this social media shit 5 years ago. And I did see insane rhetoric I did not have to deal with in real life. And, I would say my experience with black people online has not been my experience with black people in real life. Now, I'm sure a lot of the black people would probably say, you guys don't have white people going up to you, calling you names, denigrating you for being black. Just I don't have experience with black people just coming up to me and starting shit with me for being white. But on this app, you're definitely you're going to get that, and I don't think anybody would deny that.
Have you traveled outside of America, Pepe?
Yeah.
What countries?
This is how lame I am, just Mexico and Canada.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Before you go down this line of John, I'm going to go ahead and mod you if you could post a link where people can donate. We're gonna do a little. We're gonna get people to donate here in a minute. Hold on a second. Tama, go ahead and finish, and then we're gonna ask the future congressmen some questions, and then we'll get the donations going.
Yeah, I got a question. In your heart of hearts, right, what is the most? If you lived in a perfect world, what would be your main goal in life for people?
My main goal in life for people would be that there are people who try. Everybody has different capabilities. I'm just talking even, I'm not speaking racially, but even it's just imagine a world where everybody's the same race, ethnicity, all that shit. People have different abilities. I do think, I have no problem with people earning more. I don't have a problem with, necessarily even income inequality in and of itself, but I guess the one thing where before the neocons or the new right, something that was kind of treasured was just like the American dream. People doing the right things. They go to work every day. They do what they're supposed to. Can they buy a home? Can they have a family? Can they at least just like get by and have a peaceful life? I mean, I honestly, I just kind of, I want the best for everybody in general. Like, I don't have a.
So I would say harmony, inspiration, these kind of things.
Yeah, I don't want. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the less fighting, the better the outcomes for everybody. And I want to see. I don't want to see people struggling, especially if they're doing everything right. Like, I really that it's really to me sad. Just like looking at the price of like home to buy a new home as a young person, the bar is so high now. I see like the rift that you see between men and women in America, and just like how marriages aren't really lasting. Men and women are tearing each other apart on social media, and it's actually like heartbreaking. I did not have to deal with this shit when I was growing up, and I don't really like take a side when it comes to men and women. I try to look at people like if they were my brother or sister, and you had to make an accurate judgment about what kind of person are they and who should they be with. Nobody wants their sister or brother to get hurt, but they realize like if you had a shit.
See.
Yeah. I think you'd be much happier, and and everybody else would be much happier. That's all. That's all.
Well, I think to a degree. I mean, the problem is that you have people on the left and the right that definitely want to. I would say have like much different views of what would be utopian.
Of course.
And it's just like I for a good decade or so, the far left was given like a much larger megaphone than the far right in particular, and I just saw like what was just amounted to just like hateful, horrible shit. And I guess like me, I did feel like an underdog. It's just like, oh, they can censor us and they can. It was almost like blatant. I don't know, like communist, racist propaganda, and they would shut you down for speaking out against it. And it's like, well, fuck these people. In fact, I'm going to start insulting them, and I'm going to start using every goddamn slur and I'm just going to like literally try to fucking make fun of them as much as I can.
All right. Hey, guys, we're going to segue into the purpose for this room. The future Congressman, John Kitover, he's campaigning to help us. And so we talked about some small ideas for the last hour or so. We're going to talk about some big ideas. John, do you want to tell people why they might want to consider to help you with your campaign?
Yeah, thanks, Roger. Thanks, Pepe, for that fascinating lecture and that incredible academic experience of listening to you discuss that important topic.
Shut up, retard.
Many years.
You're stretching your underwear again on
Rule number five. Go ahead, John.
So many of you know me. I've recorded many of you. Pepe is in many, many, many of my recordings. An unbelievable number of recordings because he has so much to say and he has so much fun here on this app. And I have enjoyed filming him and recording him for so many years. All I want to say is basically this country is borrowing and spending us into oblivion. $2 trillion a year is absolutely ridiculous, obnoxious, terrible, and just as stupid as many of the things you've just heard debated on this stage for the past 30 to 40 minutes. It's children. These are incompetent fools who keep getting into office because the voters are incompetent, brainwashed, and completely propagandized to vote themselves into an economic oblivion. So I'm running here as a Clown House user just like you. I'm fully transparent. I record myself, as Pepe said, in my underwear doing yoga while listening to you waste your time, have heated conversations in a road rage fashion just for entertainment purposes. But you can click the link above if you've enjoyed me or maybe some of the things I've had to say or some of the interesting conversations we've had or some of the videos I've recorded of some of the Clown House funniest and worst comedians who don't even know they're comedians and jokers. They actually take themselves seriously. But click that link above right now, 10, not 11, 10, not $9 to contribute to the campaign to elect John Kitover in the 16th District of Illinois. We are fighting a dragon known as Darren LaHood. As Abby stated, he's a very powerful congressman who's been there for 10 years. And over those 10 years, each year, through HRX, he has caused over $2 trillion in debt. So 2 trillion times 10 years, that's $20 trillion in debt. $20 trillion. That's a lot of money. So if you want to drive this annual deficit up to $50 trillion by 2050 or 2035 and have nothing to show for it, keep voting for these frauds in Congress and in the Senate. But again, I'm fully transparent. I'm running as a Republican. I've run as a committeeman before in Illinois, and I had to fight the Illinois GOP and Chicago GOP. It's not pleasant. They're not an inclusive group of Republicans. They're not MAGA. They don't show any support for Trump whatsoever. When Trump was running, they didn't hold one Trump event. I never saw a Trump flag, poster, sign, or even a kind word for Donald Trump. So if that tells you the type of Republicans I'm running against here in Chicago, that's the type I'm running against. Thanks, Mojo, for putting this together. I'm complete. And if I can answer any questions, or if you want to hear more interesting debates and conversations, I'm down for that too.
Yeah, so he's going to stick around and answer questions, but before he does, I just want to, make this appeal for those of you that are believers in a deity, deity of choice. I don't make any, I don't discriminate here. I'm just going to ask you to prayerfully consider before you click on that link up above. Just say a prayer. Say, Father God, can you please give me the wisdom and whisper into my heart how much money I should donate to John Kitover for Congress. And I want you to listen to that whisper,
please,
that
Lord,
little whisper that whispers to your heart that tells you how much money you should give. Your deity may say give $0. Your deity may say give $1. Your deity may say $10. And if you're prosperous and your deity believes in this cause and believes that this is your calling in life, he may tell you to give a little bit more. But I want you to listen to that voice, say that prayer, listen to the voice, click the link, and do the right thing. God bless.
Jesus gave me the I did your prayer, and Jesus gave me the sharpest pain my butthole ever felt, and I'm just guessing. That means no.
I'm telling you, if it doesn't work out in Chicago, consider coming on down to Southern Illinois. You will see a whole different side of the state, because down here it is like a sea of Trump signs. Yeah, it's bad, but I mean, there's a lot of Republican support down here.
I mean, it is, the economic disparities between the north and the south of Illinois are drastic. Like, the south is basically Kentucky. It's really bad down there. I would just keep driving till you get to Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, I told last night saying that if it wasn't for Chicago, Illinois would be deep red.
Yeah, it's the truth.
That's almost every state.
I got a question for Necro. Hold on, I got a question for Necro. Necro, if you were to stack $100 bills one on top of the other, how high would it be if you stacked it $37 trillion high? Any idea?
Yeah, so given that, a dollar bill is like 0.00001 centimeter. So
$100 bills stacked one on top of the other, 37 trillion. How high is that stack of $100 bills? Because that's the debt. Can you go ahead and tell me how high it would be?
It would probably go above my house.
Yeah, you know how high it would be? It would be 25,000 miles high. 25,000 miles high. That's the circumference of the Earth. That's how much debt we have. And there's only one person that's committed. If we get him on the ballot, he's going to do something about that. If you think that that's a crazy number, by the way, that's just the debt. Imagine the unfunded liabilities. I haven't even done the math on how tall it would be if we count the $100 trillion of unfunded liabilities. We've got a spending problem. We've got a borrowing problem. John wants to fix that.
How much is that in pennies? How far will that go?
There's not enough copper in the world.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be enough copper.
They don't make pennies out of copper anymore.
Well, I do want to thank the people that gave yesterday. We raised over $1,000 yesterday for the campaign. Day one. Here's day two. We're hoping to double that today. So for those of you that didn't have an opportunity to participate, the link is up above. Hopefully you've said your prayers. Hopefully the Lord has spoken to you. And, we'll accept whatever the Lord told you to do. So hopefully you can click that link. Go ahead and do the Lord's work.
I mean, I did give you, John, $5 since you promised to pardon Edward Snowden.
That's right. We can't campaign finance laws. I can't actually promise to pardon anybody, as I'm just a running for Congress now. I don't even have the power. I can write a letter. But listen, if you want to watch the YouTube live part of this experience, this is a special Clubhouse experience because so many of you are so special. But if you want to watch the YouTube live version, I'm wearing a Jesus Christ t-shirt that I bought on eBay that came from China. I'm wearing a Donald Trump hat made in China. These cell phones that I'm talking to you on, all made in China, and we're $37 trillion in debt with $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. We don't even manufacture anything in this country.
Yeah, no, it's like every time, I remember, on my jeans, and it said made in China, it may as well just say made with genuine Asian labor.
The fucking baby boomers ruin the country.
The amount of overconsumption we have in this country, the amount of shit that people have, I literally see online people having 80 to 100 per week, bro. Just that. I'm just it amazes me how much shit people are buying. That's just so cool.
No, it's just boomers, it's just they just want to go back to the good old days, where,
yeah, but they can't go back to the good old days because they're too old and they can't surf and do the cool shit they did because they're in wheelchairs and not very mobile. But I do want to ask you a question, Mr. John. What will you do about the Epstein files? How are you going to release those? What are you going to do?
That's what I asked him last night. I didn't get a clear answer to that.
You're going to get a clear answer, fuckface. Otherwise, I'm going to tell people not to donate money to you.
Well, Pepe, you've just violated one of the In the Muff rules. I'd like you to click on the house, read the rules, and tell us which rule you just broke.
Voters want to know.
Okay, then the next question I'll ask you, Pepe, is what is 232 times 1,000?
232 times 1,000. $232,000.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Pepe is a boxer. He's had his head bashed in multiple times, and he's got very bad TBI. Well, I just wanted to confirm. I just wanted to confirm.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do to release the Epstein files?
Can I ask you? I want to ask a question.
No, I want him to answer. What is he going to do to release the
No,
Epstein
I can
files?
answer his question very quickly.
You are hyped up.
Bima, let me just answer his question.
He has to be put under pressure because he's somebody running for office. He needs these questions to be asked to him.
Listen, Pepe, I've retweeted Thomas Massey's posts on X where he's bringing victims of Jeffrey Epstein. I think 6 or 9 of them. So getting justice for these victims is extremely important. And if you want to focus on the espionage aspect of Jeffrey Epstein, the United States.
I don't know if there was espionage because it's not released. I asked.
Well, look to Bill Clinton, look to Bill Gates, who's giggling on television about how he's dead now in prison. So I guess he can't answer any questions. Don't ask a guy running for Congress in a district in Illinois when your country's $37 trillion in debt. You need to stay focused and know that, there's very little I can do other than encourage.
$37 billion or trillion, excuse me. That was 2 word farts in a row. Million, billion, trillion dollars in debt. What are you going to do to lower that debt?
Sorry, I wanted to see if Hakima was here because I promised I wouldn't say the word ask. So I just wanted to confirm it.
Yeah, okay, but I asked you, what are you going to do to lower our $37 trillion deficit? How are you going to, do that?
Yeah, no problem. So we spend $7 trillion a year plus. Okay, 7 trillion a year plus. We take in $5 trillion through the IRS and the Treasury annually. So that's a $2 trillion deficit. I would propose that the smart thing to do would be to immediately cut Medicare, Medicaid by about 1 trillion, Social Security by about 250 trillion or 250 billion. No, not 200. Yeah, 250 billion. Anyways, I'm just suggesting that we cut the national deficit 100% and bring us back to $5 trillion.
Amazing. So you want to cut the geezers that have had these, when was it the 1940s when this was? I forget when it was. I think it was Roosevelt who ended up.
Also, don't forget the NDAA, Pepe. We got to cut that $1 trillion annual budget down to 750 billion.
Into Social Security, and they were going to get these benefits.
I hear you, Pepe. We've been 25 years at war. You think after 25 years at war and a massive pandemic, scamdemic, the American people are going to have to tighten up their belts and say, you know what, we've been through a lot. I guess maybe we should try to start saving some money.
Tighten up their belts because they're about to, die.
Pepe, the point is stop borrowing, stop spending. Stop borrowing. I talk to you all the time, Pepe. I'll keep talking over you. Stop borrowing, stop spending. Repeat it after me, Pepe. Stop borrowing. Say it with me. Stop borrowing. Say it with me now, Pepe. Stop borrowing. Say it with me, Pepe. Stop borrowing. Stop spending. Stop borrowing. Stop spending. Stop borrowing. Stop spending. Stop borrowing. Stop. It's the mantra, everybody. Say it with me. Stop borrowing. Stop spending. Stop borrowing. Stop spending. Stop borrowing. Stop spending. Stop borrowing. Stop spending. Stop borrowing, stop spending. Stop borrowing, stop spending. Stop. Say it with me, everybody. Stop borrowing. Okay. I guess nobody likes to do mantras. I like mantras for relaxation purposes. My mantra as a congressman candidate is stop borrowing, stop spending. Stop borrowing, stop spending. Stop borrowing and stop spending. Stop borrowing and stop spending. Okay, everybody, I'm just going to say it one more time. And I talk to Pepe all the time. This is why I've lowered my volume and I'm just going to continue to talk. Stop borrowing, stop spending. I am complete.
No problem, no spend. I go ahead and shoot you in the back of the head. My fact, thank you for our problem solved.
So every time you say that, John, I'm less likely to vote for you because it's a valid question from Pepe.
That's okay, Mother. That's all right, Mother. Go ahead, Necro.
John, I just want to say you're really making me begin to regret giving you the money last year.
I asked him a legitimate question.
This is not a good response. You should work on this.
Okay. I guess stop borrowing, stop spending is not a popular mantra with you, but I don't know. It's still popular for me. It's my listen. This clip has been put on YouTube. I bet you this will be my #1 clip. You guys, stop borrowing, stop spending.
It's really embarrassing, to be honest. I just had to say that, bro.
Your mantra literally makes people like Pol Pot come into existence. Holy shit.
Pepe, you do.
Talking about the old geezers who were said.
Pepe, you were just complaining about the. No, you hold on. You were just complaining that you can't get into a house, that it's too expensive to buy a house.
Well, hold on. Their taxes that if they pay into the system, they will receive those benefits. Now, one thing I think even a libertarian, I'm guessing Mojo, anybody, if you were promised something, you paid for it, you need to deliver the good.
Well, what are you referring to?
Social Security for the old geezers who paid into it their whole lives.
Well, hold on, but you have to understand what the federal government has done with this. The Supreme Court's already ruled. The Supreme Court in a landmark case has said that it's not a guarantee. It's not an individual contract, and that Congress at any time can reduce or eliminate the benefits.
Yeah, but that's political suicide for Republicans.
Yeah, hold on. Before you say it's political suicide, what's political suicide is in 2035, the trust fund is going to be dead, right? And then you can only fund 71% of the liabilities. We have a problem that's 10 years away, and when that problem comes up, you just have to understand that if push comes to shove, and I agree that there's going to be politicians that are going to work their magic to either raise the age or raise taxes or maybe lower the benefit. I agree. They're going to make these modifications because it would be politically unpopular. However, as we continue to borrow and spend, and as the interest on the debt becomes a bigger line item, the problem that you're going to have is there's not going to be any money to pay for anything. And that's why you have to get debt under control. And so either we're going to have a debt jubilee, a major world war where debt will be forgiven, or we're going to have a situation where we can intelligently begin reducing the debt, which, by the way, at this point, with $37 trillion worth of debt and the interest on it would take you 75 fucking years to pay it off, even if you had $1 trillion surplus on an annual basis. We have a fucking major problem, and nobody wants to talk about the largest line items. They don't want to talk about Social Security. They don't want to talk about Medicare. But just understand, the Supreme Court has already made it very clear that you are not guaranteed Social Security. Anybody that's ever told you that it's a guarantee, they've lied to you. It's not a guarantee when the law is passed, and it's not been interpreted by the Supreme Court to be a guarantee now. And so, knowing that you're not guaranteed that, why wouldn't we have a conversation about what would be a more sustainable plan?
Well, I guess to be sustainable, I would say, while these people they keep on kicking, these old people that get these benefits, they're going to vote a very certain way, and so. And old people, obviously, it's very slanted in terms of the percentage of them that vote. I don't, just personally, I don't see how this is a winning issue.
I mean, we could just speed up euthanasia of the over 70 population and just get.
Okay, listen, you guys can stop insulting senior citizens in this room. If you continue to insult senior citizens, I'm going to kick you down to the goose. So let me ask you two brain giants a quick question here. If you were the president of the United States, what would your top 3 priorities be for your people? Go ahead, Pepe first, then Mother. Thank you.
Sure. So immigration's already kind of getting under control, so that's fine. I would say it would be to lower the deficit, but it would be to stimulate the economy in a way that it benefited the average American, where there was economic mobility, where those that do things well and they do things right, I guess you can say, they can be as prosperous as they're capable of, and so long as that they're doing the right things. I mean, I do believe in the American dream. That is something I actually. If you were to ask me what at least in my country, what I care about the most, aside from race, aside from anything else, it's actually that Americans that grow up here, if they play by the rules, if they do what they're supposed to, they can at least, have a good standard of living.
You got 30 more seconds, Pepe.
Yeah, sure. So there's obviously some people that are far more brilliant and innovative, and they're going to bring a lot more value and money, and they're going to hire a lot more people because of their, the companies they start, which is a net positive. I'm all for that. At the end of the day, I want what is best for America.
Okay, great. Go ahead, mother. It's your turn.
Okay, so the number one thing that I think is the biggest threat to this country is our reliance on China for basically everything in this country. I would reshore most of our, at least high priority supply chains back to the U.S. or countries who are favorable. The second thing I would do is America's infrastructure is going to shit very, very quietly, right? Like some states are, like a lot of these bridges are over the lifespan in significant portions of the country. You have just shitty infrastructure in the U.S. has been built since the 1950s and has not been addressed by either party. It just keeps pushing the can down the road. We need trillions of dollars in domestic investment in our own current infrastructure. And then the third thing I would focus on, actually, U.S. healthcare, I think is a disaster. Like I know Obama tried to do some patching with Obamacare, but that didn't really work out super well. So there's got to be a revisiting of how healthcare is done in this country, or maybe shifting more towards a preventative model. But that's going to be difficult to push politically. But those would be my three priorities if I was president.
Okay.
What about you?
I'd like to. Okay, hold on a second, mother. Go on mute, mother. I'd like to point out to everyone on stage as well as the audience that neither Pepe nor Mother said that the government should stop borrowing or spending money. Never heard it come out of their mouths. And in fact, if we were to do a compression of what they just said, or even repeat back what they just said, I don't think anybody on stage could even give me 3 things that they just told us. Maybe one.
Fuck you, asshole. I think we should borrow less money and we should lower our deficit. Eat a dick. I did not say we should continue to borrow.
So last I checked, Pepe and I weren't running for office. So the one who should be answering this fucking question is you.
Listen, gentlemen, I will refer you back to the rules. If you use profanity one more time, this is your final warning. You will be
Suck my fucking dick.
Okay, gentlemen, you're going in the goo. Move to
I
audience.
would like to say something.
Pepe, any final insults before I put you in the goo where you belong? Go ahead, Pepe.
Yeah, fuck you. Suck my dick.
Okay, moving to the audience. There you go. Go back to mommy. I just want to quote Donald Trump. Go back to mommy. Go to the goo where you belong. Okay, who's the next speaker? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. That's cool. When we are accounting for the deficit, the debt that we're in, are we making sure we're accounting for the fraudulent spending that's also being done, the fraudulent part of our spending in this country? We're accounting for that, right?
Yeah, Doge. You can go to Doge on X right now and view almost $750 billion of fraud, waste, and abuse. Bullshit contracting through SAP for contracts for DEI and climate change studies and training, ballerina monkeys in the Guinea forests of Africa. I don't know. There's 100,000 contracts. You can go to Doge on X and look right now. Let me get the link for you. I'm going to put it in the chat.
No, I wasn't, John. Relax. I'm just asking for you. Relax. I got you. I'm just saying that when it comes to, because I work in Medicare, and Medicare is very obviously very complicated. The entire healthcare system is very complicated in the U.S., but Medicare is much, much needed for these seniors, man. Like I don't care what anyone says. I believe there needs to be more regulation on fraud in Medicare because the DOJ just arrested over 300 people for $14 billion in intended loss. And I mean, like, primary care is charging for procedures that never happen. People getting access charges for things they never got, medications, referrals. And it's so to me, when I think of the cut in Medicare and Medicaid, it makes me nervous because we need these things. I feel like we need to spend more money on the regulation aspect of how these funds are being distributed because we still got dead people getting Social Security
and Medicare. Dead people still getting Medicaid. It's a lot of waste and loss. But I feel like cutting funding. I feel like more like allocating the funds to more regulation rather than cutting the funds.
Pockets, can I say something to you? You have to really, people don't understand the difference between what Medicare is and Medicaid, and they're completely different, and people conflate them often. And the cuts that we were talking about that just got passed were really dealing with Medicaid. And I think and you make a really important point. And I think that I know doctors that have been locked up for Medicare fraud. And I absolutely agree with you. And I have a friend whose mom just passed away. And they have a huge malpractice lawsuit now. Well, one of the reasons is the doctor performed additional procedures in terms of upping the billing on the she was on Medicare, exactly what you're talking about, but now it's backfired on him because she died as a result of it, and he'll now lose his license. But separate from that, I think, and you're in the business, maybe you can make it clear that they're two very different programs. It's a shame they share the word meta because they get conflated often. But this new bill was cutting the recipients of Medicaid that were on the program that shouldn't be on the program. Different, and removing seniors from Medicare, which it wasn't doing.
Well, seniors are that's what's interesting. Is seniors are both on Medicaid and Medicare. If a senior does not make enough money through and Social Security is like robbing them, right? They get Medicaid and Medicare. It's called a dual plan. So there are seniors on those dual plans where it's access and Medicare. So that's why
it was getting attacked. I mean, the bill was trying to stop it from like young people sitting in their base.
I agree. I agree with that. Doing their 40 hours a week, or their 20 hours a week. I agree with that. With parents, while your kids are at school, you could be doing something. I agree with that.
But maybe you can, again, that was just the point, that they just get conflated all the time and they're really different.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take about a 5-minute speaking break, and I'm just going to copy and paste from Doge on X in the chat. Stay alert to the chat because you're about to see a whole lot of scam, fraud, waste, and abuse, and borrowing and spending. I'll let you guys talk it out while I post the receipts in the chat. Gotcha. Go ahead. If anybody on stage wants to read what I'm posting in the chat, please feel free to read because I don't think people read anything. Chirp, chirp, chirp like birds. Never talk about borrowing or spending. Just keep spending $4 trillion a year on Medicare, Medicaid. They're separate programs, but keep borrowing, keep spending. Got to keep paying all those doctors, all those health groups, all those health insurance corporations and middlemen. Every single year, got to keep that same consistent $4 trillion. They got to get it. They got to have it. Let's not talk about borrowing and spending. So look in the chat. Somebody want to read it?
No, John, I was just going to ask you, have you done all your filings? Have you filed under the Federal Election Commission since you're raising money? I assume you've done all the federal filings and you have a committee, a finance committee, etc., all under the federal law?
Yeah, Google my name, John Kitover, and you can see the FCC website.
I don't need to Google it. I just asked if you've done all your filings.
Yep, did all the filings, Abby. Could you want to read one of the chat copy and pastes from the Doge X account, Abby? Would you be kind enough to do that for the campaign right now?
No, I let someone else who has a better speaking voice. I have too much of a Philly accent. Oh, that is such bull. I love Abby's voice. I just want to, if you could put in the chat your filings or notice of them.
Well, I'd be happy to, if you want.
Checks or
Yeah.
any money.
Yeah. Abby, I will just tell you, if you click the link above, which is Antidote, they do not create an account for you unless you have an EID and you have an FEC filing and a bank letter. It's not an easy process. This has taken me 30 to 60 to 90 days to get here. So I'd be happy to copy and paste anything you want in the chat for you.
John, John. Oh, Lou, I see you on mic. Go ahead.
Oh, it's all right. I was just gonna say, John, what numbers did you say you were gonna cut each program by, and how did you get to those numbers, and how will they materially affect your constituents?
Sure. So 4 trillion is Medicare, Medicaid. I would cut that by $1 trillion at least if I could. I mean, again, you guys got to understand this is all hypothetical. I am one person with one voice. You know, your $1 will help me transmit that message further into the ether if you think it's a good idea. You know, it's 4 trillion for Medicare, Medicaid, $1 trillion for Social Security, $1 trillion for the NDAA. So, I mean, pick and choose, or, you know, do a balanced approach, or raise revenue and increase taxation. If you want to eat the rich and you think billionaires should pay more in income, either way, as Mojo said, over 37 years, even if we were to have $1 trillion surplus, that still takes 37 years to pay back $37 trillion, plus the 100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. So I hope you take this with a grain of salt, as do I. I mean, I like to pick and, you know, make jokes and try to be funny about it, but it really is a serious financial problem. I don't live my life like this. I had chicken for dinner. It was less than $20. You know, I don't spend a lot of money. I try to save money. I don't take out huge loans. I don't own fancy cars. I don't fly jets. I don't gamble in the stock market. I literally sit here on Clown House recording Clubhouse rooms. You know, and a lot of people here like to waste your time, but they've never run for office. This is the second time I've run for office, and a lot of people are just talkers. But I film everything, so if you wanted to enjoy the experience of watching someone either win or lose, or to get on the primary ballot or not get into the election in March, I mean, this is your experience. You will be contributing to this campaign. I hope you'll stick with me. And, you know, maybe I can convince you that freedom, liberty, and less regulation and less taxation and less borrowing and less spending is in your best interest as an American or a Canadian or wherever you are. You know, but look at the rules and disclosures for giving $1 or $100 or $1,000, because if you don't live in the country and you're not an American citizen, we can't take your money unless you have a resident ID card. So look at the rules at the bottom of the campaign form.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is that with the FEC, you're not actually required to register with the FEC until you've either raised or spent $5,000 on a congressional campaign. So with the $1,000 that's collected, you could actually do that without completing all the FEC filing.
Yeah, I didn't have to file the last one, but I did have to do a personal financial disclosure. That one took a bit of time. Their website is old. It sucks. It's completely outdated. It's very difficult to use. And I can just say that if we are $37 trillion in debt and the greatest country in the world, but our own congressional election website looks like it was built in 1994. I mean, we've got bigger IT problems than we even know about. Everything sucks in the government. It's outdated. It's broken. Nothing communicates. It's not seamless. There's a lot of friction between all the federal agencies and how they all interact. And I've worked in the GSA side in federal leasing and facilities management. There's a lot of conflict. What's amazing is my experience at the Treasury is a lot like my experience on Clown House. There's a lot of road ragers. There's a lot of angry people. There's a lot of liars. There's a lot of there's a lot of politics in the government, within the agencies. People are vying for positions. People are retiring. People are scheming. There's a lot of just inner fighting within the government, but nobody gives a fuck about the $37 trillion in debt, because all those employees in the federal government are getting a healthy paycheck, and they feel like they're first in line to continue getting the paychecks in case of a bankruptcy. So, It's better to be on this side of the fence or that side of the fence. If the federal government goes broke, the cities go broke. If the cities go broke, your local municipal pensions are finished. So the whole system is one interconnected financial system. And the biggest problem is the federal government's borrowing and spending. There is no bigger problem. $37 trillion fucking dollars is a lot of money to owe on the ledger. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, and I mean the reason why I ask is not necessarily to be a dick, but of course, if one of your main things is going to be, the budget and spending, I mean that there's like, to me, I think about this problem a lot too, but there's a lot of things that run so inefficiently within the government. Like you look at defense reprioritization or procurement IT modernization, similar to like what Estonia did, right? There's a lot of things, right? There's a lot of things that you could do, but I think that what people don't want to hear is that their lives are going to be negatively materially affected when we talk about, figuring out the debt problem, right? So I guess I just asked that because I'm sure you're going to get asked that, right, by some of your constituents, and I think it's just, good to think about that.
No, I think it's a very scary topic to hypothesize about, but I do think that Franklin Delano Roosevelt's quote of the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. This is a word game. This is an accounting game. This is a ledger game. It's in the material world. America is incredibly abundant and prosperous and wealthy. We have remarkable assets, remarkable cities. We are a huge, massive nation that is basically impenetrable to foreign invasion to a certain extent. We don't have a lot to worry about in terms of security. So why are we still spending $1 trillion a year on the world's largest military police force? $1 trillion. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Northrop Grumman. Let us, if we're going to spend $300 billion a year on weapons and defense and salaries for soldiers or contractors working with defense corporations, I mean, let's get the biggest bang for our buck and start paying down the debt. That's a pretty good place to start. But instead, we have this world police, security attitude that we can't let go of because there's so much money involved. It's that much money. And, the deep state and everything wants, the quote from the movie Dune, the spice must flow. And that's what $2 trillion a year is every year. The spice must flow. There's a huge pressure to get that $2 trillion plus a year, past the taxpayers.
So focusing on the biggest problem also means coming up with a solution, right? And it seems like the solution that's underway right now that you're talking about seems to support it in some way, if I'm getting right, is to cut back on operations that actually affect people in the actual society, whether you call it marketplace, government, whatever it is, services. These are just part of society. And there's no place where austerity, especially because you pointed out the most important reality, which is that America is the richest country on earth by the real economy, not the monetary economy, which is fucked up, and I absolutely agree with you on the problem. But how about some solutions, right? Like, I'm proposing to you, everybody listening, that there is a feasible way to pay down that debt. And what would happen then, right? If it did happen to be like some crazy ass idea of thousands that people might have that we vet and make sure and we go figure out, we find a solution to this that doesn't involve cutting back on people, because you're right, the country is rich enough to afford it. And guess what? Until that changes, and it could, America is the reserve currency of planet Earth. And it can print it endlessly, which means that its feasibility is how much the economy can actually absorb. That's not about monetary policy at that point. And that's why you can clean up the debt in the way that I proposed to you last time you heard me mention this to you, because there's a whole part of the global monetary economy that has no tax on it and would easily pay for all this shit. And everybody else's taxes in the real economy would have to come down in order to accommodate it. And the arguments after that, I'll end my plan here, the arguments after that would not be about what we can afford to do, but what's in an investment interest to do. Because you quoted FDR, and I'll just say, he proved, as did the GI Bill, as the rebuilding after World War II and a few other examples, when you invest money directly into people, even when you do it by debt, and you could do it other ways that are healthier in the future, but even when you do it by debt, it's a fucking ROI every time. I'll end my plane on that.
Daniel, where would be the oversight for your solution? First of all, I appreciate. It's good to hear from you, Daniel. I appreciate the commentary and the offering of the solution. I'm definitely not a professional. I don't know much of anything, so I'm just asking questions. The solution, it seems to me, though, that you're proposing is that we just start taxing in other areas. Is that pretty much to pay off the programs and the things that we currently have? Did I just get that part right first?
Well, the part that John and I agree on is that debt is a problem that needs to be addressed, right? The way I'm saying to address it is that we think simply, and I think every ordinary person should consider this, not just economists, to understand this. I'm actually proposing that people talk about it at Thanksgiving and over dinners and whatever it is, just ordinary people, about the fact that there's two economies. There's a monetary economy, and there's the real economy that we measure and where we get taxed, where we measure GDP and labor statistics and all that stuff. Where, America's the richest country on earth, as probably many of us could agree. But there's this monetary economy that makes the whole global economy that America is the king of work. And most of those financial transactions actually run through America. And it has a unique opportunity to go, hey, guess what? There's this bucket over there, and we're not touching it at all. It's using all of our infrastructure. It's people getting rich off of it, but not the American people. And it's using America's entire society in order to do it. Why wouldn't you want to tax that something? And it turns out that it's so much larger than the economy where all the taxes happen that you only have to tax it a tiny, tiny little bit in order to pay for everything and clean up the debt reasonably in about 8 years.
Who do you think most of that financial burden would fall on? Like the taxpayers? Who would be the taxpayers? Are you talking who are they? So I'm assuming that my question was correct. Like you want to keep the programs as they sit, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the biggest military defense, and instead of cutting them, reviewing them, figuring out what's good and what's not good, we just start taxing more. And so this is the reason I bring it up, is because my concern is if we just start taxing more without ever looking at these programs and the efficiency of these programs, it doesn't seem like a good business model. In fact, it's a little bit terrifying to me, because now all I hear is now there's completely no accountability. Nobody's going to be looking at the inefficiencies of these programs, and we're just going to nobody's going to have any type of responsibility for when this stuff ends up, just.
Yeah, I said nothing about what to do with all the money you're going to save, or what programs to keep or not keep, or any of that stuff. Like, you can do you can look at two problems at the same time. And I think it's a great problem to have, to go, do you really need all of those services? If you're going to, save all this money, and you no longer have to put money over here, and you can do administration with how you do, things like universal income that cost you less than all the programs you have right now. But I'll let other people worry about that on another day. I'm not advocating at all about that. What I am saying is there's a false idea that there's a fixed amount of money in the world. It's a false idea. There's not a fixed amount of money in the world. So when money is issued or printed, and now ordinary human beings have created trillions of dollars of non-nation wealth in the form of crypto, and there'll be others in the future, but all of that has no limit except what we agree to use it for, okay? And one of the things we can do is not be wasting away money to pay debt, interest, which is now, correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody thinks I'm wrong, is now greater than the military budget, is the amount that America spends on that, and then has vital things, there are services and vital things for the nation that are being cut back on now that we probably couldn't argue about too much. Some of us on the extreme would argue any dollar that the government spends is a waste and all that. us out of the debt problem when there's this huge bucket of potential revenue for the government that will lower your taxes, not increase them. That's the key thing that I would be jumping on first if it turns out that can be substantiated. Then you can have the argument about what to do with what programs to keep and all that stuff. That's a whole other conversation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think you gotta walk and chew gum at the same time, to be quite honest. Like, I mean, the funding is one portion to talk about, and I feel like the left talks about the funding, the right talks about the cutting, but there's kind of an in-between, to be quite honest there, because there's, like I said, the way procurement works publicly, supply chain is my thing, right? That's what I've always studied, and that's what I do professionally, and public procurement is mind-bogglingly inefficient. So there's so many ways to increase efficiencies. Another thing is negotiation for drug costs for Medicare, right? Like that would save, I think, an estimated around $98 million from 2025 to I think it was like 2033. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to kind of do this, but I think what we don't want to do is negatively, materially affect the weakest part of our society, because that really leads to instability of a nation.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. Also, when it comes to problem solving, as a kind of project manager you probably are in your field, it helps to know which problem you're solving. If you're talking about the debt, and there's a way to solve that debt problem, why not do that? That's the key, right? If you take out the annual cost of the interest on the debt, that opens up a lot of budget conversations you can. And even if you cut back everything on top of that, folks, if you end up with a surplus, which you once had, right around 2000, well, that changes the conversation quite a bit.
And I definitely hear stop spending, and I think that's a big that's a big theme of this room. That stop spending is a blanket statement that doesn't really mean much, to be quite honest, until you get into the devils in the details, right? Stop spending at this macro of a level doesn't actually mean anything. It's not prescribing anything.
Some money is investment, and some money is waste. There's no question. Those are two buckets you can't change. What goes in one and what goes in another, we can argue about. But you're going to have some useful investment and some waste.
Can I ask a most stupid question? First off, good evening, everyone. But a really stupid question. Who do we owe the debt to? I mean, who are our bankers in this case?
I mean, you can go to US Debt Clock and actually see who we owe it to. The primary lender is the Federal Reserve.
No, you don't owe it to the Federal Reserve, sorry.
There's also China, there's Japan, there's Germany, there's the UK. Go to usdebtclock.org. And Thomas Massey doesn't actually pull his data out of US Debt Clock. He gets it straight from the treasury.gov API.
He has a little pin or a watch or something, right? I saw that one time.
Yeah, Daniel, why don't you, I told Mojo, I asked Mojo, have you ever spoken to that guy, Daniel, in the red jacket? I said, you got to ask him about his scheme to give people as much money as they ask for, and then it's set to an expiration clock timer. If they don't spend it, it disappears. And whoever receives it, there's no expiration clock on that currency, and they get to keep it for as long as they live or pass it on to theirs. Daniel, do you want to illuminate Mojo with your awesome economic idea in order to reduce the debt by, I think you said 100% or 50%? Tell us your scheme, Daniel.
Okay. The last time you asked me this, I told you there are two separate things. They are not connected to each other. What I just was talking about in this room up to now, before you just introduced this, and I'm happy to talk about it, but I want to make sure everybody in the room understands these are two different things that you've conflated. One has to do with ending the debt in 8 years. There's a plan to do that. I'm part of a group of people that are planning to popularize that idea. We intend to find congressional candidates, Sean, who scrutinize that idea, look at the numbers, see if our numbers are correct and supportable. And if they come to that conclusion, they're going to benefit from a super PAC that is actually going to raise that issue about how to end the debt. That's one thing all by itself that has nothing to do with the income thing you talked about whatsoever. Do you understand that?
Yeah, got it. Please proceed.
Now, if we shift to another project, which is a pilot test project that will be done probably around 2030, nothing before that, and it's a client project, and that client is actually paying for that project. And what they are attempting to set up is to prove a model by which you can privately, not through government or taxes, create an economic system where you can issue income, universal income, not universal basic income, that people will have money that is largely just buying power, because that money disintegrates, the buying power that they're issued disintegrates within 90 days of them receiving it. When they go spend that money, rent, food, education, start a business, whatever they would choose to use that for, whoever they're buying goods and services from are adding value to the economic system. And so when they receive that currency, it gets at that point of transaction converted into hard money. And if you really examine what the Federal Reserve does, is they issue money that gets hardened into a debt. The debt is not owned by governments. That is not true what was said there. And you don't even need debt to be issued there, but they require it in order to have a keystroke become something real. We make something real if this model turns out to work, and it's one of thousands of experiments going on around the world of people, crazy people like me, who think that it's possible to build something like universal income. And you need lots of crazy people like me if you want to have a future that has some innovation to it, John, before you ridicule it. But if we're able to set up such a system like that, then it means at the point of a transaction, the real goddamn economy, not in some fancy monetary hall of the Federal Reserve, is when money is printed. You know how in blockchain you have proof of work, proof of stake, proof of this, proof of that? The proof is in the transaction. And the people who provided those goods and services have added value to the economy, and they have money for life. The people who receive the money to spend have 90 days to spend it. What you wanted to, make an extreme out of, I could get $1 million a day if I have no limit. Obviously, we're not going to set up something of that nature, but largely, people are going to be able to set their own income because they can't take more than what they have the capacity to spend in their lifestyle. The only limitation we would have on that is what the economy, the real economy of real people, real goods and services can absorb. That is the limit. That Mr. Supply Chain knows that here, Lou, too, as well. That's where the real flow of the economy comes from. When you have inflation, it's not because of too much money, it's because of not enough goods. It's when the supply chain is screwed up, is when you really have the inflation. So that is an experiment, John, and it won't happen for a few years, but I have people that have vested interest and want to see if they can figure out that experiment. Does that clarify it for you?
Yeah, it clarifies it, but I'm wondering if you could give us like a compression. Like, how would you restate all that in like 3 to 5 sentences?
That project is an attempt to make universal income by private means, not through government or taxes. Did that answer?
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Okay, anybody else have any comments or questions? Anybody, Medicare, Medicaid, $4 trillion a year, NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, security for the country at $1 trillion a year, $1 trillion for Social Security. That's only $6 trillion. Where's the other trillion? Anybody else know where the $7 trillion budget really is? Where's that other missing $1 trillion that we're talking about?
What was the ones that you listed?
Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and the NDAA. Where is that other trillion? That 7 trillion.
Oh, 7? I don't know about 7.
What if we went back to a wartime mindset and we just started scrimping on our own economies and planted victory gardens? Would that not help the economy? I don't know. I could be wrong. Probably am.
Sorry, Sean, I couldn't really quite understand your question. What was it?
I'm sorry. I'm dealing with the hiccups right now. But what if we went back to a wartime mindset and we started supplying labor and victory gardens? You know how people used to make their garden in their front yard or their backyard, wherever it was. People supplied their own food in a lot of cases. So I don't know how that would affect the economy. I don't know.
I mean, I guess people are free to do that, right? I mean, now.
Do they know how to do it, Lou? Do they know how to plant seed?
I mean, we live in an age where you can literally figure anything out at any time that you please to know. So yeah, I mean, maybe they don't, but if they want to learn it, they definitely can.
Okay.
Sean,
in that case, let's assume that they figure it out. But how does that affect our nation? How does that affect the nation's debt? I don't know.
Sean, you know, I go to the grocery store and I pick through the produce. I'm like, you know what? All this produce always sucks. You know, growing food is a very difficult thing to do. I have a large vegetable garden on my property that puts out about 800, 900 pounds a year. I don't have time to work that thing and run that thing. It's a local church that volunteers, and they've been at it for 20 years. And even then, the rodents, the bunnies, the possums, the bugs, the birds, everything gets destroyed. You know, a lot of their crop goes to waste, but it's so difficult to grow. I mean, the fact of the matter is it's not a grow garden that people need. People need lower property taxes, lower income taxes, so they can go to the grocery store and buy more vegetables, more fruit. I mean, the global supply chain is a good thing. The fact that all these vegetables come from Honduras, Guatemala, Panama, wherever they're coming from, I mean, it's fantastic that all these things can get shipped into the United States of America. So, I mean, lower property taxes, lower our income taxes, let people keep, you know, 70, 80% of their income. Why even more than 10%? I mean, if the rule is you give to your church 10%, why is the government taking more than 10%? So, you know,
The proposition I'm making would lower everybody's tax to 1/2 of 1%, just to make clear of what you would see if you do investigate it.
Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel, do you know the story of Nebuchadnezzar and the prophet Daniel?
Vaguely.
I think it's all about Daniel's dreams, and Nebuchadnezzar like saw it written on the wall. I'd have to pull up the story to remember it, but it's a great mystical vision, you know.
Yeah. I think I'm a pretty good strategist. I got a pretty good track record there of making things happen. So I'm not a dreamer, I'm a doer. I mean, that's pretty objectively evident.
I mean, you know, dreams are important because your imagination is important. I mean, your brain is a computer simulator.
I'm just saying it doesn't stop at the dream, though. Like, I mean, you can Google me if you want. I get things done.
Okay, so does anybody else have any priorities they would like to put on the campaign to elect John Kitover? 10 priorities. I'm looking for a 10-point bullet list of what you would want done by your federal government or your local or state government.
Shut down Guantanamo Bay.
Okay, let me write that down. Shut down Guantanamo Bay. Okay, number 1. What's number 2?
The grant of self-autonomy.
Number 2, the grant of self-autonomy. Can you elaborate, Sean?
Yeah, I would just like for people, all of you, to be able to live your lives. And Tom's, sorry, I'm still struggling with the hiccups. Yeah, for all of you to be able to live in a self-deterministic world. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, number 3.
As philosophy.
Number 3, I would put have campaign finance reform cap the amount anyone can donate to any candidate at $10,000.
Okay, campaign finance reform. Number 4. Anyone? Number 4.
End mandatory minimums for nonviolent drug offenses.
Okay, mandatory minimum non-drug violent. Okay, number 5.
Reduce our prison population by 40%. It's embarrassing that our incarceration rate is higher than China's.
Okay, what's number 6? Oh, I see it in the chat. Don't cancel Sesame Street. But Sesame Street makes a profit. Why would we fund a business that makes a profit? What's number 6?
How dare PBS, have shows that tell children to be nice to each other.
Okay, what's number 7?
Wait, we didn't do number 6 though.
Okay, what's number 6?
I'd have to think. Eliminate capital punishment.
Eliminate capital punishment. Okay, number 7. Anyone? Serendipity, Pockets, Bima. What is it in society you'd like to see your government change for you? That you have to technically borrow and pay for, but go ahead.
Establish healthcare as a human right.
Okay, healthcare as a human right. Any other human rights, Necro?
How about kimchi for all? I think we should all be eating more kimchi. Yeah. Gut health is really important for the brain, so I would go with kimchi.
Okay, any other final ideas on how your government can borrow on your behalf and spend on your behalf to change what you don't like?
Yeah, ban rich people from being able to leave their money in stocks and offshore bank accounts.
Okay. I'd like to invite Pepe back up. Maybe he'd like to come back up and tell us what he'd like the government to borrow and spend on his behalf to change his reality. What's a Pepe complaint?
Oh, you want me to dance for you like I would make you dance for me, like my stages?
Who's the vaudeville manager now, Pepe? Dance, little Pepe, dance.
You are our dance monkey.
Dance, little Pepe. Okay, go ahead, Pepe. This is your big chance to get some input into your government. What would you like?
How would we lower the deficit? I'm just going to be very honest and say that is a bit above my pay grade. I am not an economist. when it comes to such expenditures, I don't know. So many things would have to be taken into consideration. Like, well, if we lower the percentage of money that we send to just like defense spending, I don't know. Like, how does this end up panning out overall? I don't know. Like, this is not my area of expertise, so I can't give a good
Okay,
answer.
guy, just repeat after
I'm
me.
also not running for Congress,
Just
so I don't really have to give a
Pepe,
good
just
answer.
say you don't know, and just say it's the economy stupid.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't know, and that's why I'm not running for Congress, because I don't
God,
know.
you know, the mantra is it's the economy stupid, meaning that should be the number one priority of everybody, but it's not. Most people on this app just do racial identity politics.
Are
Dr.
you an
Adams,
economist?
I took economics. Dr. Adams, welcome back to the room.
But are you an economist?
Pepe, let me ask you a question. Have you ever eaten in
Ask me, nigga. What's
Hey.
the question?
No, don't go that way. No N words here. I will have to enforce the rule.
So, if I can interject, John, do you want to rehash the points or the top priorities for Mojo?
Let me just give you the basics of economics, ladies and gentlemen. It's run like a business. It's run like a pizza shop. You got to have a baker. You got to have a sales lady. You got to have a point of sale. Everybody's been in a pizza shop. That shop has to run profitably. Otherwise, it will go out of business. That's the way you run a government. If you don't, look at Norway. They have a $2 trillion sovereign wealth fund. That means every citizen in Norway has like a $500,000, $600,000 credit with their government. Okay. We have a negative $110,000, $120,000 per citizen for funded liabilities. And it's literally for like $440,000 every American owes the government in unfunded liabilities. I'm not making this up. You can go to usdebtclock.org and study the table. So until you absolutely understand that, like, if you're working to pay off government debt. That's not an easy pill to swallow. So that's my point.
Yeah, I would disagree with the idea. I don't think that governments and companies are in any way the same. There are some similarities, but there are functions which make them very different. Is that the government's goal is to protect humans while company's goal is to maximize profits. So
let me ask you this, Necro. What do you think is more important, or what do you think is a better thing, a profit or a loss?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
What do you think is better, a profit or a loss?
It depends on what the profit is for, I'd say. But in general, I'd say that.
Can you give me an example of where a loss is better than a profit?
Yeah. So, for example, if you have, like, for example, when we cut off the pipeline with Russia, I think that was something that, where we lost, ability to get profits, but it also.
Do you want to take a couple minutes and think about what you're going to say before you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I didn't want you to say something that was going to get me to do my normal thing. I don't want to argue with you, so yeah, think about it. And if you come back, I'd love to hear your well thought out idea on this. I have a question. Has everybody gone to John's website? Everyone on the stage? I know Adam's got some reservations. And how about Matt Cool? Matt Cool, have you donated to John Kitover's campaign yet?
I mean, I personally would like to hear a lot more about John's platform and specific issues that I actually care about.
How about you give him 3 of the issues you care most about, and then we'll get his thoughts on those issues.
Got it. So what are you doing about criminality as far as, how the United States Congress supports certain efforts towards giving a second chance to criminality, and in the tenure that you are poised to ascend into, I mean, what do you feel like should be the answer for the aging population in your district in aging in place?
Okay, so let me just repeat back to you what I think you said, which was, how would I respond to recidivists in prison and the Department of Justice, as well as how should senior citizens respond to crime in their areas in America?
No. So what are you going to directly do to support the aging population in your said jurisdiction?
Well, first off, I would look at it from their perspective and what bills they have to deal with, which are the same bills that I have to deal with, which is property taxes, mortgage, interest expenses, electric, gas, water, sewer, other municipal taxes, sales taxes. Anything they have saved for retirement, they have to maximize it so they can, experience the abundance of their fruits of labor, from working for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So, I mean, let the American people keep what they got. Let them pay less into the system. Stop spending so much in the system and stop eating so much out of the substance of the American people's pocketbook. Nobody wants to work 3 out of 5 days a week to pay the government. And if we just keep spending, everybody will be working 4 or 5 days a week to pay for the government spending and borrowing.
I'm sorry, was that your short answer?
That was my response to what I felt that you asked, Dr. Adams.
Got it. So you understand that, looking at the aging population of the populace that you seek to represent, you understand that the average cost of senior care can range anywhere from $5,138 to about $5,143 per month. And the average person in your said jurisdiction is earning about $54,710 per year. So, I mean, what is your plan to abridge that financial obligation that otherwise is necessary for our aging population in trying to bridge that gap in your specific district between that gap of that aging population and, selfish children of those people that paid into the Medicaid system. Okay.
There's a lot of ways to help senior citizens, at least in the district that I live. A lot of these people live in farmland areas. Majority live in 2 big cities, Rockford and Peoria, and they got to deal with their local municipal problems, their school boards, their elected officials who are incompetent and wasting their property taxes. So, unless the federal government,
we're talking about the aging population.
I know.
So again, discussing school boards, how is that germane to
it's all
the
property
issue
taxes. All of these parasites survive off of property taxes. 65% of their operating revenue comes from your home that you have to pay, annually, your property taxes twice a year, or however your municipality breaks it down. I'm just saying, Adams, what is the point of your question?
What do you mean? When you look at an aging demographic of people that otherwise would represent your district, I mean, the numbers speak for itself. Have you ever done correlative data to actually try to resonate with the people that you're actually running to represent? What issues?
Yeah, I have. Okay, let me tell you. Since you asked, let me tell you how. No, hold on. You asked the question. I'm going to tell you how I've correlated data for the people in the District of 16. I have gone and I've used Grok on X, and this is what I asked Grok. I said, "Dear Grok, tell me how Darren LaHood in the 16th district, that's Congressman Darren LaHood, who I'm running against, tell me how his HR acts and voting correlates with open secrets data and lobbyist contributions to his campaign and his office." So out of the $20 trillion in debt that he has created over 10 years, because every year we add $2 trillion to the debt, he has accumulated over $10 million in Fortune 500 donations to his campaign, to his office, to his bank accounts. Plus, he probably has lots of other business interests, being a well-connected lawyer. And his father, Ray LaHood, who was found with $50,000 in cash by a Nigerian scammer. And Ray LaHood was Obama's Department of Transportation secretary. So this is a very powerful, politically connected family that I'm running against. He sits on the Means and Oversights Committee, and he rails about China and how AI is going to get ahead of us in the race. We got to fund trillions of more dollars for more research and development and investment. Borrow and spend. Borrow and spend. That's who I'm running against. You have to understand, Dr. Adams, what I'm going up against. I am a 42-year-old Army veteran and former advertising marketing consultant and facilities treasury consultant. I'm not a federal prosecutor with $10 million in the bank creating $2 trillion in debt a year, Dr. Adams. So you have to understand what I'm up against, who I am and who my opponent is, and why we're doing this. Because this little butterfly effect and complaining and crying, as Brad liked to say that I do, all you do is complain and cry about the debt. All right, well, you know what? Let's keep talking about it then. Because $2 trillion a year is too much to spend. We only collect $5 trillion, and we're $37 trillion in debt, with $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities, ladies and gentlemen. Say it with me. $100 trillion of unfunded liabilities.
So Edmund, 14% of your population is going to age in place over the next 10 years. What is your plan?
I'm going to show up at the park. I'm ready to do the lead yoga classes. Okay, I can lead yoga classes at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5. I can help people stretch, breathe, and become flexible again, because guess what? Austerity is near. Austerity is here.
So what is your tax plan as far as reducing the liabilities from people that otherwise would be of the same ilk, that would be of a certain fixed income? I mean, what is your plan to address that?
Okay, before I answer that question, Dr. Adams, can you tell me what the word austerity means?
Are you prepared to answer that question?
I just want to ask a qualifying question. What does the word austerity mean?
Yep.
Set of policies implemented by governments to reduce budget deficits.
So again,
okay,
are you going to answer the question?
Let me ask you one more qualifying question. What is 699,000 times 1,000? No, I'm sorry. What is 699 times 1,000?
So John, let me just stop you full stop. This is where I have issues. You know what I mean? Like, this is where I have issues. Do you have
let me ask you the qualifying question again in a different way. What is 373 times 1,000, Dr. Adams? Actually, a better question would be, what is 37 times 1,000?
Got it. So let me ask you a question, John. Are you guys going to hold some sort of debate?
Yeah, we're holding evening town halls like this one right now every day of the week up until the March primary.
As far as like your candidate and the person that you're running against, I mean, are you guys actually going to hold the debate?
Well, we have to get on the primary. We have to get into the voting box in March and win this primary. The point is, Dr. Adams, we may or may not get a debate with him. We don't know. It's usually organized by a local newspaper, but I am going to try to debate the Democrat candidates.
So again, in the questions that I'm asking you, don't you think that the trolling that you're doing in the very infancy of your campaign?
Well, Dr. Adams, I mean, to cast stones about trolling, I am. Dr. Adams, I'm just.
Hey, Edmund, you got to all figure it out. It is what it is. You got to all figure it out. Hey, you don't need my help.
Thanks, bro. You got this.
As were you here to listen to Daniel's submission? I guess not.
Okay, does Well want to say anything? Because that is a beautiful coin PTR, by the way. Is that Julius Caesar, or where's that magnificent pneumatic photograph from?
Dude, I've got no idea. It's found on the internet.
Oh, got it. Because I have a couple nice old Roman coins, and they're beautiful, little coins.
I'm just an idiot.
Hey, me too.
Well, that's okay. Every couple generations, people get suckered out of $37 trillion. It's not your fault. You didn't know it was really happening, did you? Nobody really knew it was happening. But boom, here you are in 2025 with $37 trillion in funded debt and $100 trillion in unfunded debt liabilities for a total of $137 trillion, putting you individually in debt over $500,000 to your government liabilities. Congratulations, everyone. Welcome to 2025.
John, got a question. Do you have
Shoot, Matt.
Okay, John. Do you have a platform on your actual website, or were you?
I do. You have to click to the blog section, and you can see my news release announcing the campaign and why I'm running against Darren LaHood. You can read all about the platform there. It's johnforcongress.com.
I'll go look right now.
Let me put it in the chat for you, just so you don't go to the other John for Congress, some other guy who ran for Congress. Some other guy. Sorry, Dr. Adams, for cutting you off, but I have a feeling that you may be enjoying your evening happy hour, and I just wanted to, maybe cut you off so you can enjoy that last happy hour before the bar closes.
Well, I mean, that's not going to work because, again, you're peddling, political contributions when you otherwise have been unemployed and you've been trolling people on this app. So, again, I'm coming home from work, and at the end of the day, if I wanted to actually run for Congress tomorrow, I would actually probably be using my own money as opposed to.
I am using my own money. I matched yesterday's raise.
You can always do better, right?
I'm trying to do better. That's a good brand name, actually. I think Trump's brand slogan at Trump Tower is never accept or.
Right, but at the same time, he did not panhandle,
Oh, never settle. That's what it is, Adams. Never settle.
No,
Never settle.
Never panhandled.
Never settle.
Panhandled. Right. So again, cutting me off on never panhandled is again not, the same ilk as Donald Trump that was able to finance his own campaign. So I mean, outside of Elon Musk, I mean, it is what it is. So good luck, John. I do wish
Thanks,
you the
Dr.
best.
Adams.
I'm not going to, I'm not going to be mean, or any of that kind.
Listen, save all that rage for Rich, okay? Save it for Rich.
Yep. And this is what I'm talking about. Okay.
I'm serious.
John, I looked at the website, so I don't know anything about Darren LaHood yet. But what has he done against the Second Amendment that you're calling him a traitor for? Just out of curiosity.
So
He's a gun
have you
grabber.
looked at his electoral record?
He wants to raise the minimum age to buy a rifle, a handgun. He does not want people in their 18, 19, 20, 20. He wants to raise it probably 27. Who knows how high he wants to go? But do you agree with that changing our Constitution is a good idea?
So he wants to raise it to 27 years of age. Is that what you just said?
I don't know the exact age that he wants to raise it to. But I can get you the articles. You can also Google Darren LaHood Second Amendment or Darren LaHood guns. There's a lot of articles about him and his beliefs about, weapons.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about the dude, so I'm coming in pretty, non-biased that way. So I'm the guy that you want to convince on things right now, because I don't know anything about the other dude.
I'm just letting you know, Matt, I hope that you're giving the same energy if I were to ever decide to run for the 47th district of California, or my district, where we just got rid of Adam Schiff. So I hope that you guys are keeping the same energy
Adams.
I would encourage you to run, Adams. I think you would win.
Yeah. He's vulnerable.
Did Adam Schiff really lose most recent election? Is he no longer a member of Congress?
I live in his district.
He got censored.
He got censored or censored?
They're calling for his arrest. Like the FBI released a private cable, basically, or a lot of information coming out about him.
First of all, he's in Senate, so yes, he's no longer a part of our congressional party in the state of California. Like, hello?
I don't follow.
Hello?
So, hello?
Yeah, I mean, I think just in general, Adam Schiff, I mean, in a lot of Democrats, I just lost a lot of respect for them with the fact that they were going after Tulsi, Forrest noted.
There's a lot of bad actors still in office. I mean, still creating social media posts. I see Chelsea Clinton posting today about the truth about vaccines and going on about that shooter at that facility in Georgia, and she's saying what a criminal, and this MAGA people are criminals, all these vax conspiracy people are criminals. I'm thinking this is a criminal shitting on a criminal who shat on criminals. Like, the whole Clinton crime family is just a bunch of charlatans, and Chelsea Clinton is the product of all that fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think the thing about Joe Biden that I think was probably the greatest issue I have with him was when he decided to make all these quote-unquote preemptive pardons. Like the idea that people, before they that they should be given absolute immunity for whatever it is, whatever crime they could have potentially have committed, because, why do they need that sort of immunity if they're innocent?
Okay, so, well, Necro, most of my to-dos right now that I've received from this room come from you. So, I think most of your anxieties and complaints are going to get solved because you're very high on the campaign to elect John Kitover priority list. So you got that going for you, Necro.
Well, I'd say that essentially if there's no other candidate who is willing to do things like wanting to drop the charges against Edward Snowden, that to me automatically, disqualifies them in comparison to you. That being said, I wish that you would do also straight up would demand Trump release the Epstein files as well.
So let me ask you, Necro, describe to me what it would be like if Donald Trump was sitting in the Oval Office and he was like, you know what? I think because the Necro told me to release those Epstein files, I'm going to do it. So describe to me what Trump would actually do. Yeah, describe to me, how would Trump go about releasing the information that they're holding?
You think it's just me? Am I the only person
No, but the point of this question, Necro, is to think through what it's like for Donald Trump to actually do what you want him to do.
Well, it's not just what I want to do, it's what the overwhelming majority of Americans want him to do. It's to release the files. I mean, including his own magma. I mean, his greatest negativity he's gotten from MAGA is over these Epstein files. So what has he got to hide ultimately?
Is it just him? Is it Bill Gates? Is it Bill Clinton? Is it a dozen other people? I mean, it's a lot of people, right, Necro?
I mean, regardless of who it is, decent. Us Americans, we deserve to know who was harmed and who hurt these people. Like, who hurt these innocent children.
Yeah, justice for all these victims. Let me ask you this final question, Necro. What's more important? Stopping the borrowing and stopping the spending, or releasing the Epstein files? You tell us, Necro.
well, one, I mean, you're not the only person who I imagine was promised to reduce the spending. I mean, you're not the only Republican, definitely.
I mean, you do realize I just get one vote out of hundreds of people. It's not that I can individually stop anything. It's a voting system. You understand this, Necro, right?
Yes.
So if it's me and 4 other guys in Congress complaining about the borrowing and the spending, that's better than having 3, right?
Yes.
So I'm just trying to temper, what you think running for Congress can actually even do if I win, let alone I'm going up against a guy who has $10 million already in the bank. We've got less than $500 in his checking account, Necro. Can you dig deeper in your necrotic pocket to find another $10 right now to get your list of priorities put before other congressional representatives? You've got another $10. You're a patriot, right, Necro?
Yeah, I think the most patriotic thing that you can do right now is to do what the American people want, which is to release the damn Epstein files.
The redacted ones or the unredacted ones?
The ones that keep on being, refused to be released.
All right, well...
It's like the only. Do you know how many people are satisfied with the disclosure of the Epstein files?
Okay, I'm gonna have to interrupt you, Necro, and we are gonna jump into my email right now to see how much the campaign to elect John Kitover has generated in campaign donations this evening. We will give you the grand total finale. We are at almost 3 hours of this Americans for Austerity room hosted by the great super positive Mojo Vibration. Most of those other echo chambers here on this app, they are negative low frequency vibration rooms. The Mojo room gives you the ultimate positive feel good vibrations that you've been looking for. And I'm so thankful that you've come to help support the campaign to elect John Kitover. It's my Clubhouse netizen friends that can help us with the power of a feather flip over a congressional seat from a guy who's created $20 trillion in debt and has over $10 million in Fortune 500 campaign donations. So thank you. Go to johnforcongress.com or click that secure.antidote link above right now to give $10, not $11, $10, not $9, or $1,000. Dig deep. Mojo encourages you to pray in the center of your heart. And in the center of your heart, you may find it that your power, your will is telling you to give $1,000 to the campaign to elect John Kitover. So click that antidote link above if you've enjoyed this comedic routine. It's not comedy, ladies and gentlemen. It's your $137 trillion in debt that you have to deal with. I'm just trying to help you come to the rationalization and realization that the United States of America is completely and utterly bankrupt. But that's okay. We'll just keep borrowing and spending because it's not real. It's all just a game. But give $10 or $1,000 right now to the campaign to elect John Kitover. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, so